Hi,
Do you have
everyone.
any,
I'm sorry for the delay. I need to let you all know that sometime between 2 and 2:30, and I'm not sure exactly when, so I can't be more specific than that. I am going to need to step out for a while because my husband's got a doctor's appointment that I have to participate in remotely.
Okay.
So I will tell you, I will know when I have to step out, but I probably won't know much before that. And I'll just, I'll mute my phone and I'll go out of camera range.
That's okay. That's fine. We'll just record that on the.
We've had a quorum all the entire time so far, so.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pop out around 7 to grab my new shipment of CBD oil and make an exchange in my driveway. So.
Oh, that's what
I may miss a couple minutes as well.
Whenever you guys are ready, let me know because I have your 1 o'clock and your 1:10. It's Mike Juan on my phone. He just realized his computer doesn't have a speaker.
Who is this?
It's for HHT Realty.
Okay.
I got it. But his name is Michael Dewan. He's a appraiser. So I figured you're waiting for John and Linda, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So just let me know.
And
I'm gonna go back to. I'm gonna. All right.
Bill?
Yes, they said they'll do it. We're just waiting for everybody to get back from lunch. Okay. Yep, if that's okay with you. I just didn't want you to hold and wonder what was going on. Okay. No problem. Hold on.
We're just waiting. Is Linda not back either? So.
Oh, shoot. I'll be right back.
Me too.
Linda, you're still muted. Linda, just so you have heads up, your first one's going to be over my speaker.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, that's Valerie, isn't it?
No, Valerie's not till Saturday now.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It's HHT Realty,
Oh.
which is Herman Tejan.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Also, I noticed that we have at 6:10 we have Terrence Sullivan. He actually contacted me about an issue relating to his assessment before I knew he was going to be filing a grievance. So I don't think that I'm going to recuse myself from that one. I don't think that I can deliberate on it or hear it.
Okay. How long do you guys want to wait, being that John's not back yet? Because you're putting yourself behind for the rest of
Let's
the
go.
Yeah, I think we-
I think we should go. And
Yes,
where's
let's go.
Linda?
I'm right here.
Oh,
Okay,
I
let's go.
All right,
Sorry.
I'll put him on.
Who is this?
Putting you
Sorry.
on your phone now.
Dewan, HHT.
Gotcha, thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello, this is Michael Dewan calling. I am actually representing HHT Realty LLC on Crossmore Drive in the Village.
Okay,
Hi,
and
welcome.
what
before we
property
get-
is this? I'm sorry.
I would just say before we get started, let's start with an oath and then we can get going.
Oh, very well.
Do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I most certainly do. Thank you.
Great, so we have about 10 minutes. I'll give you an 8-minute warning if we're still discussing at that point.
Excellent. Okay, and I'm also on at 1:10, so I'll stay on.
Oh, perfect. Let's go then.
Mr. Dewan, what's the address of this property?
This property is it's on Crossmore Drive in the Village on the northerly side of that drive.
Oh, so there's no street address.
It doesn't have a street address. It's a totally vacant parcel of about 14 acres.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Forgive me, but how do you want me to proceed? Do you just want me to start talking, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
please. Talk us through your paperwork.
So you've gone through some of the material that I sent to the assessor.
yes, we have all of the materials.
You have got them in front of you.
Correct.
Oh, good. So those pictures tell 1,000 words. I'll skip all of that. You know, I mean, as a real estate appraiser myself, I really put when I put my name at the bottom of an appraisal, it means that I'm swearing to the truthfulness of what it is that I'm concluding. And I'm looking at this property, and I mean, you know what it was assessed for at $780,300, and you know my contention is it's worth considerably less than that. I walked the property and found that it really is kind of the orphan of a lot of development throughout that area in the earliest part of the early and mid 20th century, and for good reason, because a lot of it is either wet during parts of the year, or pretty ridge. You know, there are a pair of ridges that run through the property itself, and it allows for maybe one home site, and even that, even though it's on 14 acres, the most suitable, like, viable home site would be looking into the backyards of, you know, folks to the west on Crossmore Drive. So my sense of its highest use is as a kind of oversized single-family lot with an awful lot of development challenges because of the wetlands and those steep, very rocky outcroppings that run parallel to it. So with that in mind, I, you know, as any appraiser would, I went out looking for real, true, comparable sales, and of course, staying within the village and town of Rhinebeck. And you see that I sent you the top of the grid and the pictures mappage of the 5 sales that I selected. You know, and every single one of them had one problem or another. And that's really what I went looking for, is something that had a comparable degree of issues as to their development potential. 3 of them, of course, are on Mill Road in the town outside of the village. One, sale number 3 on Wine Coop, is the only one of the 5 that's inside the village itself, and I'll come back to that in a second. The other one, number 2 on Pilgrim's Progress Road, is in the town outside, but also pretty close to this one, and probably among them the closest with respect to like development challenge, since it only has that minimum 50-foot road frontage. It really is suited for a single home site, and tucked away to the rear, and that one, of course, sold for over $19,000 an acre. The sale on Wine Coop Lane, while it sold for an awful lot more dollar per acre, it also sold as 4 separate tax parcels. Every single and it was a subdivision done, I believe, back in 1987, and as early as August of 2014, those 4 lots had been granted Board of Health approval, each one of them for 4-bedroom homes. So that really drove the value of that one up quite considerable. I was tempted not to use it, but it was the only one inside of the village, and it's the only real sale of a substantial amount of acreage in the village, for quite a long while. But using like Wine Coop now, for example, I brought its value down considerably because it's so superior to the subject, given that whatever the buyer did with it, which was reconfigure it into 2 lots, each one of those 4 tax parcels that sold had the immediate capability of being built on, versus the subject, which is, it's really raw land. If anybody wanted to try to subdivide it, it would probably take an awful long time and that person would have to spend a lot of money on engineering and planning and even legal, and then time involved, and who knows if it would ever get approval for subdivision. So that's why my subject property, the 14 acres on Crossmoor, I think is worth an awful lot less than what it's assessed for. It really comes down to the fact that it's mostly wet and mostly rocky, probably suitable for one oversized home site, and if I had to choose 2 sales, by the way, I'd choose sale number 2 on Pilgrim's Progress. In terms of my adjusted sale price per acre, I'd choose between that one on Pilgrim's Progress and sale 3 on Wine Coop after I adjusted it pretty significantly, somewhere between $28,000 and $29,000 per acre, or around $400,000. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on this one. Do you have any questions?
No, that's very clear.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would certainly emphasize that the 3 other sales on Mill Road, I mean, I've kind of felt duty bound to use them, and and all of them had one problem or another associated with them. But it really, as I said, the best sale was really number 2 and number 3. And since there are so few sales anyway of land throughout the town, especially bigger sales, I've felt duty bound to go back to as early as 2012, and with no particular adjustment made for the passage of time, because since the Great Recession, prices have kind of jumped around after falling quite significantly. They've gone down, they've gone up, they've kind of bounced all over the place. I don't think there's any one trend line that you can point to that says, oh yes, property value, especially land, has gone up 5% a year or the like. So,
Michael, we're just at about 9 minutes here, so let's wrap this one up, and then after your next one, if we want to come back, we can.
go for it.
I actually have one. I have one question. I have one.
But that, the sale price that all of this indicated as is somewhere on the order of somewhere between 400,000 and 427. 427 is the number that was put on the 524. And as I said before, if you just count the two on Pilgrim Progress and Wyncote, it's an awful lot closer to 400,000.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
Not specifically with respect to either the village or the town of Rhinebeck, but just generally in the region. In the 10-ish years since your first comp, have you seen any trend in terms of sales of vacant land, substantial acreage of vacant land?
That's a good question. I wish there were an easy answer. I probably could do it but to answer your question in less than 30 seconds, there isn't any one consistent trend line that would tell me, that land is increasing or falling off, over the past several. Certain areas may very well show spikes in value, but
just in terms of sales, in terms of numbers of sales.
And I just don't see it very clearly. I used the MLS to build up trend lines over the years, and there's just nothing, especially for land, since there's so many fewer land sales than home sales. It's just really hard to say.
Mr. Dwan, is the zoning in the village 1 acre for building lots?
The zoning at that particular point is actually R residential, which has 8,000 square feet minimum lot size. You could theoretically, take and put 5 houses per acre, on that land. But as I said before, with it being so wet, with it being so rocky, with the village, and the town being, I think rightly very, particular about development projects, I just don't see it being a major factor. The fact that it's underlying zoning providing for such a high density. But
Thank you.
Instead, I think it's really the physical characteristics that call this particular value.
Okay, great. So we're at 12 and a half minutes. So let's start with the other one. I don't want to cut you off and not finish.
Good. Just give me a second. Let me open that one up. We're talking about the property owner is Potamkin. It's on Morton Road. Again, it doesn't have a street address, but it is, it's on Morton Road, as I said, pretty far down. It happens to be contiguous to the parking lot for Wilderstein, and it is, it is a 5-acre lot, which is fully approved. And of course, even though it's in that historic district, which now calls for 20 acres per dwelling unit, it's a pre-existing, lot. So it can be built on. There's a stone berm that covers most of this parcel's frontage, though there is an opening at the northerly edge of it. And there's a little bit of, there's kind of one lip of buildable acreage before it falls off into the, you know, into a series of ravines and rugged, you know, downslopes where it meets the railroad tracks. This also happens to be encumbered by a 1985 conservation easement, which prohibits any kind of building and clearing within the first 100 feet off of the road. So that is one of its detriments, if you will. Another of its detriments, frankly, is its size. It doesn't have the kind of acreage that would allow for the owner to select an awful lot of sites. When I walked this land a few weeks ago, I found that there was one site that the owners now many years ago had selected, which is, I believe it's just beyond that that conservation easement restricted area. And it's well before it starts to fall off into the ravines and ruggedness. But it's also at a spot where you can pretty well make out the house next door to the north of it. So that is, even though you can conceivably have views of the river and the Catskill Mountains way out west, you also have to contend with the fact that you've got a neighbor, you know, kind of cheek to jowl. The other issue with this is it's pretty heavily wooded, and it is you would have to take considerable amount of trees down in order to really establish a bona fide view of the river and the mountains out beyond. That certainly could be done. It may be done at the risk of upsetting, you know, Mother Nature and since some of those trees are kind of holding the slopes in place. But that's kind of the problem with this particular site. You've seen some of the so-called comparable sales that I selected. Since there have been so few sales along Morton Road and Mill Road, the comps I used are pretty pretty few and far between. The one that just sold at 94 Morton Road for $875,000 is a pretty decent comparable, just in that it's on Morton Road, as is sale 4 back from, you know, which is a listing. I'll get to that in a second. But the very first one, sale 1 at 94, is actually 2 separate parcels, something akin to that wine coupe lane. There are 2 parcels there, both of which can be built on immediately. Only one of them has a view. The one closest to the road does not, and you know it's got other issues somewhat similar to the subject as to terrain, but it absolutely provides for, you know, views of the Catskills.
When you start doing anything, you gotta clean this. You can't start making a mess on top of it.
It also has a stone pillar in place and a driveway that goes to the back, undergrounded electric, which, you know, adds considerable value to somebody who, you know, wants to build right away. So that's sale number 1, is considerably, you know, more valuable, you know, than my subject. Now, I also used a sale in the hamlet of Rhinecliff, you know, at number 2 at Grinnell Road. It may have views of the river with clearing, and that sold for considerably less than sale 1 and any of the others that sold. sale 3 is also on Mill Road, quite a bit further down, and has direct frontage on Vanderburg Cove, right there where the Landsman Kill comes in. Even though it's an unconventional approach, I look at sale
Did
4,
anybody else have any?
absolutely brand new listing. I had a long conversation with Stephen Hollaback, the listing broker, who basically said that listing price wasn't my choice. I think it's way overpriced, and you'd probably have to spend $200,000 to $300,000 just to get a driveway in, a driveway that would go, would have to crisscross through the up and down steps of the property to get to a site, not to mention having to put a well in place and then a septic, wherever you could get it. And then there's the Board of Health approval. So his sense was that it might sell for somewhere in the high 600s, which would bring its value, down to somewhere more realistic. Anyway, point is that, I look at this at my 5-acre parcel and all these others, even though there's no one that's a perfect comp. They're all very different from one another and from the subject. But with being adjustments to one or the other, I figured the subject is worth somewhere around, $82.5 an acre, or $435,000 per acre versus the assessed value of $650,600.
Michael, we have 1 more minute left. Is there anything else that you want to come and get across?
No, I think that this sale is overassessed, and I think my direct sale comparison approach really brings it down to more in the 425 to 450. I landed on one value of $435,000.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so the next step will be for the board to deliberate. We will get a decision to the town, and the town will send out a letter in early July.
Excellent. I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Take good care now.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Do we have Soden?
I think we have
Randy.
someone called Randy.
Yeah,
That's
that would be
probably-
it.
That's him.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I'm letting him in. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Hello, Randy, can you hear us? Nope.
No, not yet.
Okay. Randy, can you hear us?
No.
Unmute
Just
yourself.
Unmute yourself in the bottom left corner. Move your mouse and you'll see a mute and a stop video on the bottom left.
Good.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, great. So before we get started, we have a oath that you need to agree with, and then we're going to go through your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to do that. I'll give you a warning at the 8-minute level, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I do.
Okay, great. Let's get started.
Did you get my package, by the way?
Yes, we
Yes.
do. It's in front of us.
Okay. And also, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today.
Of course.
Our pleasure.
Do you want me to go over just my notes first?
Yes.
Or
Yep.
Just tell us what you think we need to know in order to determine your grievance.
Okay. I think you're familiar with Mill Road. what's that, Linwood Spiritual Center. I just brought it up because it has affected the sales in the area. The road has been under repair for 20 years. And we all have experienced blowouts and car problems. And when you try to bring somebody to look at property in this area, it's really a disgrace. So I just wanted to bring that up. The other thing, my front yard has a horrible condemned building, which is Wincliffe Castle. That's condemned and falling apart every day. So those are just some things that affect when people come to look at any property on Wincliffe, on Wincliffe Court. The other thing I did, it's well respected by real estate agents, and that's HomeSnap. And I did a comparative market analysis with HomeSnap and put in all the features, and I have several homes that were compared similar in size. Most of the homes though have 2-bedroom. This only has 1 bedroom, but they were similar in size. And as you can see in that comparative market analysis, it's way below what you decided to make the new assessment. Actually, if you look at that, it's quite a difference. Now, before we did everything, I thought the assessment was high, and that was 680. But that actually is, to my knowledge, around 600 in that area, because I know there's a surcharge because of being on the river. Though when I used to live on Long Island, if you were next to a railroad less than 500 feet away, you would take a lot off your property. But I noticed the river now gives you a surcharge. But it's still, even if you add that, it looks like it's still around 600, 700,000. So that's my spiel. I don't know if you have any other questions, I'd be glad to ask you. The house is a kit home. We live on 1 floor, and the basement is not finished at all, but the assessor's been in the house, and there's no electric or what do you call it, sheetrock or any finishing on the basement, ceilings or that. But that, I think he took into effect. I'm just saying, it just seems to be extremely high, what you came up with. Not you, but the people did the assessments.
Mr. Soden, did you build this structure? When did you buy it?
1998.
And at that point in time, how much?
And it was built?
It was a kit.
So you put it out?
Go ahead. Thank you.
I'm
It's
sorry.
a window kit.
Right. Was it already on the property, or did you put it on the site?
I put it on the site.
Okay, and that was in 1998.
That's correct.
And it is just a 1-bedroom with 2 full baths?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. You know the square footage?
Of the house? Yes.
Yes.
2,600, I think it is. I mean, I can tell you exactly. Well, the first floor is 1,700. And the second floor, that's a little higher than it is because actually the living room has a cathedral ceiling. So there's no
Okay,
floor above it. That's around 1,000 square feet.
thank you.
John,
Yeah.
a question?
No.
Yes.
No? Anybody else have any questions?
No.
No. Okay, so the process will be in the next week or 2, we will deliberate and come to a decision. The town will send a letter to your house in early July with that decision.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Randy. Thank you.
When you're ready, I've got Michelle.
Okay. This is. I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready? Sorry. Just unmute your, there you go, Michelle. You're good.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read a quick oath for you to agree to, and then we'll get into your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to go through it. If we get to the 8-minute mark, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Okay.
You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
I do.
Okay, let's get started. Walk us through your grievance.
Okay. I don't know if you had a chance to read my cover letter, but basically there were 3 reasons why I think my house is being overassessed. The first is it's categorized as a colonial, where it's more similar to a raised ranch. It's really an atypical setup. The first floor is really like a finished basement. I have my utilities down there. There are 3 rooms, a half bathroom. There's exposed plumbing. One room has no source of heat other than a wood stove. So I don't think it was originally intended as living space, but it had been converted at some point to that. So the upstairs, I have 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath, and our kitchen. So obviously it doesn't flow very well, not having access from kitchen to living room or dining room, etc. So I think that really affects the value. Also the condition of the house, the accessory structures, and my land. My land is very low lying. It's very wet. It has caused the rotting of the bottom of my garage door to come off. I'm getting that replaced currently. It's also starting to rot out the bottom of the garage as well, which someday I'm going to have to deal with that. And flooded my house last year, which ruined the laminate tile on the bottom of my floor of my house. So I think those issues all really affect the sale value as well. And just the condition of the house in general, it's never really been updated. So, you know, it's all very cheap materials, a lot of laminate, things like that. Needs a lot of repairs to get it up to full sale value. So, I mean, I think I could get probably $225 for it if I made those repairs, but I don't have the money to do that right now. And I just see a real disparity in the value of the surrounding homes. I took my one neighbor at 198 Rhinecliff Road, whose new assessment came in just under mine, despite the fact that they're on 2 acres, which in 1 acre zoning is subdividable, whereas I'm on half an acre. Their land is much higher up. It doesn't have the water issues that mine does. We both bought our houses around the same time. They fully renovated theirs. I never did mine. So it doesn't seem to add up to me. And I definitely don't think that there's any way I could sell my home for $277,500. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Michelle, it's Lisa Rosenthal. Can you give me an idea of how much you're out of pocket for the repairs from the water damage?
I did not repair it. So my laminate flooring is ruined. I bought a large rug and covered it up for now because I don't have the money to do it.
Okay. Have you made any effort to value what the costs of the repairs would be?
No.
Okay.
You have how many bedrooms?
It's 3 bedroom.
Okay. Got it. Thank you, Michelle.
Sure.
Anybody else have any more questions?
No.
Okay, great. So Michelle, anything else you want to tell us?
I think that's it.
Okay, so the next step in the process is for the board to deliberate and come to a decision. We will do that in the next couple weeks, and the town will send out a letter to you in early July with their decisions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Peter is here when you're ready.
Okay, let's go.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
this is our first time using Zoom.
Okay, well, welcome.
We can hear you.
Excellent.
Who are we speaking with?
I'm Peter Chang. I'm the property owner.
Peter Chang.
Yeah, let me explain. I have bronchitis right now.
Oh,
I can't speak very well. That's why I have my friend doing this beside me to be able to speak to you.
I'll be helping Peter with his voice for you.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to start with a quick oath to go through, and then we'll get to your grievance. We have about 10 minutes to go through it. If we're still discussing it at 8 minutes, I'll give you a warning that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Yes,
You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
yes.
Okay, so let's get started. Tell us about your property.
Did you want to start or you want me to help? Okay,
Please,
so the property is basically still the same. Everything's been the same since Peter purchased it in 2011. The assessment has been assessed at $546,300. I guess Rhinebeck hired an outside assessment office from Westchester County who increased the assessment by $236,600, which is absolutely enormously inflated. So it went from $546,300 to $782,900. There have been absolutely no upgrades or improvements on the property. It's fallen into disrepair because there haven't been any upgrades. Peter is 80 years old this year, and he doesn't reside at that home. So we feel that the increase is extremely unjust.
Can you say the
Can you-
house?
Excuse
I'm
me?
sorry.
I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to ask, if you say the house is in despair, can you provide some pictures? There's nothing here except the grievance form for us to go.
Yeah, I can. Well, it's actually, everything's been the same. The paint is weathered and molded on the outside of the house. All the fences are falling down. All the structures are falling apart. Like literally, I can get more pictures of it for you and forward them to you when I get there. I'm right now in Red Hook, where Peter resides at the moment. I didn't know we had to send pictures of that.
It would be helpful for us to know. All we have is the grievance form to go on. So
Okay.
I would like just a verbal description of what we're looking at. What kind of property is it? What's on it? What kind of structure? How much?
Residential ad, it's listed under. It's 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. It's got 3 or 4 bathrooms. No, 3.5, I think, actually. Okay. And then it's got a small red barn that's collapsing at the moment. And then it has a larger barn on the property that has some horse stalls in it that needs renovations.
What's the acreage?
8.4.
8.4 acres.
And
what
is
we-
there currently a tenant?
No,
So it's vacant.
correct. There's the property manager, which is myself, and I reside there, but I don't pay any rent to Peter because I take care of his properties for him.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if I'm considered a tenant because I don't pay rent, but I do live there on the property as his property manager.
Okay.
I manage the property that he lives in as well. If he needs something done, I make the phone calls for him. I schedule everything for him. I assist him.
I have no further questions.
Anybody else?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so the next step in the process is for the board to deliberate and come up with a decision. That decision will be mailed to you by the town in early July.
Okay, did you want me to send you those pictures?
Yes,
If you
please.
can,
And where did you want me to send them to?
to Donna Van Voorhees, she's the assessor's clerk. Donna's listening in on the line, so I'm sure that she can give you the information on how to get that to her.
Excellent. I really appreciate it. Do you have any
Yeah.
questions, Peter?
I don't think so. What would that be? Send the.
In July, they'll send you a
Is it
notification.
to 90 or to Red Hook address?
It's gonna go to 90. The mailing is gonna go to 90 Salisbury, correct?
Yes,
We,
the mailing address is Red Hook.
The thing is, I didn't receive the assessment. Notice.
Right. Peter never received the assessment notice to begin with because he doesn't reside at number 90.
Right now, yeah.
He only receives mail where he lives in Red Hook. Is there any way we can give you that address?
We have it.
we have it.
Okay. So they'll send it to
Okay.
15 Elm Street.
No, answer Red Hook.
Right, in Red Hook.
I see, okay. Right.
Okay. I think we're all good here on this end then.
Okay,
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
bye.
Be safe.
You too.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have hot?
Phone number 663-3224. Oh, they just disappeared.
Oh,
I have call-in user 1 and Rid Gill, which is probably Govind Gill.
yeah, that's the next one.
That's the next one. You want to take the call-in user and find out who it is?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Who's on the line, please?
This is Skeeter Richardson. I'm calling in about 73 South Parsonage.
For
Yeah.
Mohammed Haig?
Yes.
Great. We can hear you fine, Skeeter.
Okay, good.
So we're going to start off with an oath, and then we'll get into your grievance. We have about 10 minutes to go through it. As we get to the 8-minute mark, I will give you a warning that we're getting close, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Great. So do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Let's get started. Can you walk us through the grievance, please?
Okay. So the property is not listed. It was assessed at 4056. I did include a CMA that I did, and based on the comps, the properties that have been sold, I came up with about 370. There's absolutely no other property nearby that's as high as this, and so I'm not sure why this one was assessed that much higher. And there were two properties, and I neglected to include those. Well, they're in the comps, actually. I didn't send the parcel access information for the assessment. The only two that were sold pretty recently, there's 40 South Parsonage that was sold for
Yes.
$320. The only other house that was in that 400,000 range was 7 Mill, which is further away and is a very different type of house. It's a colonial built in 1837 and has all kinds of features that would make it go for that much higher.
Mhm.
The heated sunroom, just maple floors, hand-sewn beams. I mean, I have the full listing, but it's a very, very different property and more land as well. That's on 0.6 acres.
Mhm.
Now I've pulled, even more than I had sent for you. 71 South Parsonage is 355. 75 is 361.8.
Those are asking prices though, right?
No, these are assessed. What I'm giving you now are assessments.
I see.
There's nothing nearby that's assessed as high as 405.
Got it. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I kind of jumped from one to the other. The ones that were sold were 40 South Parsonage and 7 Mill.
Right.
And then as far as assessed values, and this is for 2020, even that one, 40 South Parsonage, that's sold for 320, that was assessed for 321.6. So, right within the price it was sold for. All the others in that row, 79, 71, 75, they're all in the low to mid 300 range.
Okay.
And those are built around the same time, or similar styles, that type of thing. Property size is similar. I mean, and even at 370, that's still higher than the others, a little bit. Because there were some, the house might have been a little smaller. But he went from an assessment, full market value was 285.9, to jump well over 100,000, that's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot. That's
Peter?
a huge jump. Yes.
Can you tell me if that house is the one with the chain link fence?
Yes, it is.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. On the corner of Sunset, it's a white house.
Yep, got it. And when did he purchase it?
He purchased that, I believe, late 90s or early 2000s.
And how much did he pay then?
I have that information. Let's see here.
From the partial access, it looks like it was 135, and it was August 99.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
No problem. Yes, August 1999. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, great. So the next step in the process is that we will deliberate in the next week or so and come to a decision. The decision will be mailed out by the town in early July.
Okay. Okay, very good. And, if at that point, he agrees, everything's just fine. And if at that point, if he doesn't, is there anything else he could do?
Yes, there'll be instructions in that letter of what the next step is.
Okay. But I'll remain hopeful.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
just got a note from my dentist that they have to reschedule my appointment on Saturday morning, so I'll be here.
Okay.
Everybody ready?
Next person's in the waiting room. Ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Yeah.
We're getting a little tour.
Yes.
Hope she wasn't moving away from the router.
Yeah, I hope she's getting closer because we're not connecting too well.
Sometimes it takes a few minutes.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Now it needs to unmute.
Unmute, please.
Hello?
There we go.
Hello, this is Govind Gill.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm going to read a quick oath before we get started, and then we'll go through your assessment. We'll have about 10 minutes to go through it. At the 8-minute mark,
I'm still waiting for Dylan Harris to come on.
Okay, I don't see them yet.
My counsel, yeah.
Okay, so we can wait a few more minutes. Were they going to use the Zoom as well?
Cell phone Ritu from downstairs.
Will he be coming on Zoom?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Maybe you want to give him a call. There's nobody waiting.
Yes, I'm just going to do that, yeah.
Okay.
How are we on time? Anybody know?
We're actually running a little ahead. So
Yeah.
we've got, because this one's supposed to start at 2.
This pile still looks pretty
No,
ominous.
It's actually almost halfway done, Steve.
Doesn't look like it on my side.
that's how big we started yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, if you had yesterday.
Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Right,
Yeah.
Wednesday, right.
Oh.
Hi, Dylan. Yeah, we are on the Zoom conference. Can you join us, please? Yeah, he's coming right on. He was waiting till 2, so he's just joining. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Fred, you want to let them in? Yep.
Here we go.
Dylan,
You
just
need to
unmute
unmute.
yourself and we'll get started.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to meet with all of you. And as you know, I'm, having a grievance about the assessment of my property.
Yep, let's get started with a quick oath and then we can get into the details, okay?
Okay, yes.
You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
Yes.
Dylan?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started.
All right. Do you mind if we start with a brief statement and then any questions you may have, we'll take at that point?
Absolutely. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so what we're looking at here is a property that's 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. It's in need of repair both inside and out. It hasn't been updated since my client purchased it in the late 90s for approximately $400,000. The bathrooms are the same as they were from construction, the kitchen, flooring, really nothing's changed in this. And in nearly 50 years. So in 2007, my client built a pool house, and the assessment thereafter went up to about 800,000, which was palatable. I mean, it did add value to the property, no question. From there, by 2019, the property was assessed for 900,000. However, as you know, a reassessment was done in the town this year. The assessment went up to let me see the exact amount, $1.321 million, which is over $400,000 increase. And looking at the neighborhood and comps in the neighborhood, I mean, this property is drastically higher. 287 Mill Road, which is next door. It's a 3-bedroom home, so a little smaller, but it's assessed for 310,000. 263 Mill Road has 2.6 acres, so drastically less land. It's assessed for 273,000. I mean, I can rattle off the list. 291 Mill Road is 259. 301 is 372. 307 is 378. The only one that's even comparable is 215 Mill Road. That's on the rolls for 1.5 million. And it's got about 25 acres of land, but I'm going to let my client speak as he's been to this property, and I really can't give you any information on how these really aren't comparable in any regard.
Yes, as you know, that is a unique property owned by Mr. Mensch, and I've been there for a party one time. It has multiple dwellings on it. It has more than one family residing there. It's 4 times the value of my house. And that's assessed at 1.5 million. It's got 25 acres. I understand I have acreage and I'm willing to have an accommodation for that. But my acreage has no road frontage. It's a landlocked area, only in its natural state, which I enjoy. So, you know, we can put a value to the land. But my assessment at 1.3 for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath is way out of line than the comparables in this neighborhood.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and with that said, I mean, we understand that my client's property has quite a bit more land at 44 acres than the others. And it should be assessed for more than the properties that don't have as much land. I mean, that's a given. And also it does have the pool house. And it's a nice pool house. I mean, it's going to add value. There's no question about it. But really we don't see any way that the house could go from being 400,000 without a pool house to 1.3 million with the inclusion of a pool house. I mean, if anything, a pool house really comes in more as functional obsolescence of the property. I mean, it has a function, and you know, a $20,000 pool house versus a $100,000 pool house has the exact same function, just more luxury for one. So we understand that value should be added from both the 44 acres and the pool house. But again, with the pool house, it shouldn't be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not a dwelling. People don't live in it. It's, you know, it's to enjoy, use the pool. And also the land, like my client said, it's undeveloped. It's in its natural state. It can't be developed. I mean, it's not something he could subdivide and, you know, sell to a developer for millions of dollars. I mean, it's forested land, it's hilly, it's not something that really has any intrinsic value past it's 44 acres in Rhinebeck. I mean, that's what it is.
Put a value on that. I'm willing to put a value on that.
Is the pool house and the house the only 2 structures on the property?
Yes, sir. There's a separate garage house, which was there when I bought the property.
Yeah,
and that was included in the assessment when the assessor came here.
The pool house that that you have referred to, is that the 1,600 square foot structure or the 4,100 square foot?
Yes.
The 1,600?
Yeah, it's about that. Well, that's, yeah.
Okay. And does it have bedrooms?
No.
Okay. What's the layout of it?
The layout is there's a jacuzzi, there's a steam room, sauna, there's a bathroom, There's a luxurious bathroom, I don't deny it, but that's for my own, my own personal need that I wanted. That's what I work for, and there's a small living area in there too. So that's it.
Is it an open plan, or is it like?
It's all one open plan, except for the bathroom and the steam room. The jacuzzi is open. It's out there next to the living room.
Okay.
It's just a sitting area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When this property was listed for sale a few years ago, do you remember what the asking price was?
Yes, Mrs. Fox, I remember you came here. That listing was done for legal reasons. I can't get into that. I was forced to list it, and I didn't want to sell it. So I listed it beyond any consideration of a sale. To be quite frank, I listed it because the IRS wanted me to do that, and I didn't want it to be sold or bought. So that is just a redundant issue.
Got it. Thank you.
And I know you came out here, Gina, so you saw it's the same old house of the 70s with antiquated interior. Because I just need a roof on my head. I love the property. I burn myself out. It's like, I like to walk around it. I like to, cut the trees. So that's why I bought the property. The house is the same house that was built in 1972. And I've not added to it except for the pool house.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm willing to put a value to that. Yeah.
Okay, so just about at 8 minutes. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no further questions, just to sum up our discussion, I mean, based on the neighborhood comps, we understand that adding maybe $200,000 for the land and another 100,000 or so for the pool house, that's acceptable based on $300,000 and $400,000 homes in the area, which is why we asked for 800 to be the assessment. But at the end of the day, the actual residence is in disrepair and it's in need of a great deal of work. And the vacant land is just that. It's vacant, it's unused. And under these circumstances, we think $800,000 would be a fair assessment on this property. If you want more information on the comps, I can get those to you next week. They're all in the neighborhood, so you might have the information already based on the addresses I gave you, but I can send you more information if necessary.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's still at 800. I'm paying a lot more than my neighbors in terms of taxes, in terms of school taxes, property taxes. I've been a good citizen. I've been contributing for 20 years to this community in taxes, more than all of them. And now I would be forced out of the area. If these taxes went to $30,000, I can't live it's a perpetual mortgage for me. I can't live in my own house, and I'm ending retirement. I'm 65. So my income is going down and these taxes are going, I can't sustain this level of property and school tax. And frankly, I don't have children, but I'm happy to do that, to contribute to the community. And to do this, put this burden on me at this age in my life is just, I'd have to move out of the area. I'd have to leave. I can't live here at this price. This is not the price I bought. This is the unrealized gain for me. I mean, you can put any sticker price, but until I sell it, I don't realize that value. So, I'm appealing to you as a community member, as a citizen who lives here, who's contributed, and I'm doing based on the $300,000-$400,000 comps on the other homes. I mean, 800. I'm paying double of everybody because of the land and possibly the pool house, which is a functional obsolescence to most people.
Well, we appreciate that. So the next step in the process is for us to deliberate over the next week or two. We will come to a decision and the town will send a letter to your house the second week in July.
All right,
if you
thank
want
you,
any
Steve.
comps at your convenience, we can send you what what.
Well, I wrote the addresses down. I think we're good.
Okay, great. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Very much.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks.
Thanks.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Just
Quick question. Do we know, nothing on there said when he purchased it?
And it's per Paulson.
He said, he bought it in the late 90s. I don't know what the specific date was, but that's what he said.
I think that's about right. He was my immediate neighbor.
Uh-huh. All right, so we'll talk further about that.
Yeah.
Do we have the next person in the waiting room?
Yes, we do. Mayor Paulson, ready?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
All right.
So before we get started, we have a quick oath to go through, then we'll go through your grievance. We're gonna have about 10 minutes. If we get to the 8-minute mark, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's get started. Tell us about your property.
But who are we here with?
Well, I'm really surprised.
the
We got a,
Yeah.
I sent in a paper. I don't have a real problem with the valuation of the property compared to other properties as I know, or as we know. However, as indicated on the notice we got, it looks like our taxes will increase by more than 50%. That is my issue. I find that very odd that our taxes would increase to such an extent. You know, when there is a cap on property tax increases in a state of something like 2% annually, right? Why would our tax go up by 50%?
We don't address the taxes. That's outside of our jurisdiction. All we're here to do is to consider grievances about the assessed value of the property. So if you don't object to the assessment, then we really don't have anything we can do further than that.
Okay, well, Steve Jenkins, I think we met, right? Didn't we, when we talked about the assessment before in town hall?
No, that was
that was not.
No.
Different
Okay.
date.
Well, I have problems then with how is the property what's the method of property evaluation? You know, our property is 0.39 acres. If I calculate the assessed value per acre, it's $689,000 per acre. Other properties in town in equally desirable areas are only assessed to the $378,000 per acre. Why would our property be valued double the lot value itself, not the building? You know, I find that very odd.
Mr. Paulson, did you come in and speak with the assessor about those concerns?
I have very difficulty hearing you. I don't hear what you're saying.
Did you come in, were you able to come in and speak with the assessor about those questions?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
And he didn't have any answers.
But at that time, you know, I only looked at the total value of the property, and I didn't see any problem. But now, when I fear that our property is going to go up by 50%, I started to look into the details of this. We have property next to us here that has larger, 3 times as large as property, and they pay maybe 10-20% more, or the assessed value of the lot is only 10-20% more. You know.
Well, I have a question. The paperwork that we have doesn't really have all of the information that we need. Like, when did you buy your property? in
2008.
July.
2008?
Mm-hmm.
And what was your purchase price?
587.
587? And your acreage is 0.6, did you say?
No, 0.38.
0.39 is the lot size.
0.39, okay. And are you I looked up the picture of your address on my phone. Are you the large green Victorian?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had the right property. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. But I look at properties here down the street. You know, one property is probably bigger than ours, got an acre property. It's valued at $500,000 something dollars, and they also have the full valuation of our property is 689. No, I'm sorry, it's 796, and that is a taxable value both for the village and for the school. Other properties have the full value at 586. And the taxable value is 559 for the village, and for the school it's at 537. I don't understand why the taxable value is going down for other properties and not for ours. For example, at one of Locust Grove, the full value is taxed at 336. The village taxable value is 168, and for the school it is 81. You know,
Mr. Paulson, can I ask you? I don't think that this is correct what I have on my paperwork, but what's your estimate of the market property value of your house?
I think I put it in there. I said 800,000. I said.
Yes, 800,000. And what's your appraisal? You've got your appraisal at 796.
Right.
Assessment, you mean?
Assessment. Yeah, assessment.
That's it. Yeah, that's the assessment. Yes. And I also said I didn't have a problem with that. But when I compare now with other properties, not what the gentleman from the company who made the assessment did, when I look at closer at properties close to my location here, I see not discrepancies, but I see variations that I'd like to have an answer to.
There are variations, I know, but we're not the ones who actually put the numbers on anything. So we can't really give you any information about that. That's for the assessor to answer that. We're only here to listen to.
Why? Can you tell me why some properties have a lower assessed value for school taxes than their full value? Why is that happening?
No, we cannot. Our purpose here is simply to.
But what's the principle behind it?
No,
you can tell me the principle behind that.
Our purpose here is to listen to your information as to what you believe the assessed value is so that we can deliberate on your grievance. That's all we're doing today.
We already went through this with a guy, with a gentleman who assessed the value. And as I said, I don't have major problem with the assessed value.
Okay, well, that's all we have jurisdiction to do. That is all we have jurisdiction.
You can't tell me the principle for how you assess the valuation of the lots?
That is for the assessor to discuss with you directly if you wish to have that conversation.
I thought this was the assessor's meeting. I mean, Donna Donna Van Boris, she works for the assessor. She organized this meeting.
Yes, this is the grievance board. This is the grievance board.
The grievance board in front of the assessor, I assumed.
No, that's not correct.
Donna, she organized the meeting, and I was contacted by the tax assessor.
Mr. Paulson?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm the assessor. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm the assessor. So you can come to me with any assessment related questions throughout the year. This is just the process after the tentative assessment roll is filed on May 1st every year. You have the opportunity to contest your assessment in front of the Board of Assessment Review. I can definitely answer your questions, but I don't want to take up the time here because we have, appointments back to back. This is just the process, and I can further explain that. So what I'll do is I'm going to note here to give you a call when I get a chance, or follow up with an email. It's just we're a little tied up because of the meetings today, but I'll certainly touch base with you to give you some explanations.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
I'm not surprised that I assumed this is what we're going to address here today. My grievance is that my tax is going up. I don't even know how
I'll
much
give
it
you a
goes
call.
up
And
to.
we'll, so
Yeah.
today's meeting would be to discuss your assessment, why you feel that's out of line. I don't want to take up the, I can definitely give you a call. What I'll do is I'm going to note here to give you a call on one of the breaks, and then we can further discuss the tax, how this relates to taxes.
All right.
All right.
Well, I think I was misinformed about this meeting then.
Okay, so you have his number?
We have a number, yeah, I have a number. All
I
right.
have your number 917-679-7785.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that's
one of them.
fine. It's
That's
mine,
one.
no problem.
Okay,
Okay, I'll give you a
Thank
call
you.
and then, so if you don't, yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure, absolutely. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Fred.
Hi, Dana.
Not in yet.
Hi, Dana. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Dana. What? You have to unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Yes, yes. This is so crazy. How is everybody?
Good.
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah. Funny to see you on that side of the screen.
I know, right?
You
Yeah,
gotta have good
But you're all-
comps, I'm telling you, because we're gonna scrutinize here. So
All right,
let's,
well, I just rushed back. I got some complaints on my assessment.
okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna do a quick oath and then we'll get into your grievance.
Sure,
All right, we'll have about 10 minutes and I'll give you an 8-minute warning if we get close to that.
sure.
Okay. Do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get going. So walk us through.
So is it my turn?
Yep.
It's your turn.
Okay, so my assessment came in at 344,200. And I did comps of my neighbor who has the exact same house, but much more amenities and much more updated. And it's just slightly more. That's the first subject or first comp, and that is 2 Huntington. Their assessed value is 357.9, and they've redone everything. They have an open floor plan. They redid the kitchen, bathrooms. They put French doors out to their backyard patio. They also have a garage, which I do not. And they also have a shed, like a pretty large shed, which I do not. If the houses, side by side, you look at them, you can see there's about $100,000 worth of difference in market value. So with the assessed value of like slightly more than mine, and their house is in excellent condition, where mine is not. Mine is in, unfortunately, pretty poor condition. So, so that's my first comparable. All right. So then, going back to what my house is all about, 1952 original, everything, the kitchen's original, the baths, the floors, I have actually even original plumbing and electric. So, it's not in the condition that I'm comparing the other properties to. So I have no amenities. I don't have a garage. I don't have a fence. I have terrible road noise. So my value is considerably less than the ones that I'm going to compare me to. So that's my first information about this. So going across the street, there's 2 other properties, one being a 2-family house, and that actually is assessed for $363,900. It's a 2-family house that's totally updated, very high end. It has a double lot. because in the past, I've lived here quite a few years, there was going to be a second home allowed to be built in the front yard, which would be facing Huntington. It has overlooking the lake, which I do not. It's in excellent condition. Like I said, very high end. The lady who owns it rents it out to 2 different tenants for quite a bit of money. So again, you know, for the difference between mine to that right across the street, I feel that that's totally like a lot higher value. Okay. So number 3 is 5 Huntington, which is also my neighbor across the street, which has a lot that's 1.04 acres facing the lake. It also is a huge double lot. It is also subdividable. I found out years ago when my neighbors, you know, I've always been in close contact with, and they could have subdivided it and sold the lot separately. It also is a much bigger house, which much, you know, more square footage, and also has a separate 3-car garage. It's a brick house, and their value is $412,000, which is just, in my opinion, you know, if you're comparing apples to oranges, just totally out of whack. And going back to my house, there's a lot of information on the tax records that's incorrect. It says that my building style is a colonial, which in fact it is a Cape Cod. My bedrooms are technically only 2 bedrooms, which on my neighbor at 2 Huntington, it's correct because we're the same exact house pretty much. And my square footage is actually the same, if not less than hers next door. So I really only have 2 bedrooms, and I don't have a 3/4 story. So I don't know how they're figuring it out, because my ceiling height in my upstairs is not considered square footage because you can't stand up in the bedrooms upstairs. So, I mean, you can stand up, but only in limited areas, like in the center of the room. So the square footage should be actually corrected. So I just wanted to point that out. So going back to the other comp that I'm using is 3 Asher, which is a sold comp. And that's about the same square footage as mine. Probably more desirable because it's a ranch and it has, you know, everything on one level. It does have a garage. It does have a screened-in porch. That just sold, actually, according to what I found out online in October, for $300,000. So that is number 3 Asher, which is right kitty corner from my house. So that's it. So I feel that the value of my house and the condition of my house doesn't warrant the $344,000. It certainly, you know, would be nice if it was updated, but in the condition that it's in, I really feel my assessment is not in tune with what the actuality of my house is all about.
Did you come in and tell Matt or someone in the assessor's office that you only have 2 bedrooms, not 3, as it's presented?
You know, I spoke to Matt, and I had a conversation with him and basically went over some of the things that I just pointed out to you guys now. And he said, well, you know, basically, you know, do the grievance and tell it to you guys. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Dana, anything else to add?
Let me think. Well, also, I mean, the fact is that the houses across the street all are rentals with lake views, like of Crystal Lake. So I have no views whatsoever. And, you know, the fact that there's rentals across the street kind of also diminishes my value as a homeowner because, there's tenants across the street, 3 in a row. I mean, they're lovely people. I have nothing to complain about with that in that regard, but it's just, they're not homeowners and property owners that are living across the street. I mean, they're paying, decent market value rent, but beside the point is that it also does take away from the value of my house. And also one other thing is I do have a very small backyard in comparison to the other ones I mentioned. And most of my land is unusable because of the way that my land slopes down a hill. So really, when you're in my backyard, besides the terrible road noise now, the property is actually down a hill, and over the years has eroded with different big trees and stuff. So I have very, very little lawn, livable, like usable lawn area. So just to point that out. So that also deteriorates from my value, I feel.
Thank you, Dana.
Okay, great. So the next step in the process is we'll do our deliberations. We'll get to a decision. We will tell the town will send out a letter, which you'll receive in early July.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hey, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
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 Do we have a break?
There's nobody in the room, in the waiting area. So.
Well, it looks like we have a 10-minute break between Dana and the next one.
Yes, we do. I won't go far this time, I promise. Bye, Dana.
Bye.
I might.
Fred?
I ended up
Yes.
breaking a. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to reboot my laptop because I'm having some trouble here. So can you let me back in?
Of course.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
I broke a glass on my pea stone outside patio that we just did.
Oh.
So I was dealing with that right before we started our meeting.
What happened?
I broke a glass, a couple of lights.
Oh.
We were trying to put up string lights on our new patio we just did at our cottage, and Delise was pulling them as I was putting them up. And when I tried to switch to put it up there, staple it in.
Oh, broken glass isn't good with kids.
No, not one bit. All right, right back.
Lisa, you guys were hoping to do deliberations in the big hall at town hall, weren't you?
Yes, that was the suggestion.
It's up to Liz.
The big room.
But I know at the town of Clinton, the supervisor is going to allow their BAR to do deliberations using social distancing all in one place, just like I think you'd like to do. So I suspect Liz may say, okay.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How's everyone doing?
Okay.
Good.
Long day, Matt.
Absolutely. I appreciate your dedication, and John, you picked a great year.
Now, is it? I mean, obviously, this year is insinuating circumstance. I mean, a crazy circumstance. Is it normally this many people grieving their taxes on a regular basis?
Never in my experience. This is like
right.
orders of magnitude greater.
Right. This is because of reassessment.
Yeah.
You know, the assessments have been stable, or I say stagnant because they haven't moved, and the market has been like this. So we really reapportion based on the value where a certain property is selling for. You know, so you know, you have people that see more of a shift than others because their assessments maybe were here and their market values here, and some, you know, other properties, their market values are up here and their assessments have been here. So
which
that's
is what
why
we're seeing a lot of right now. I mean,
that's correct.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why you'll hear a lot of my assessment increased so much from the last assessment. That's because the market value of your home and other comparable properties went up. The assessments were not reflective at all, the previous assessments of market value. They were just a number that was assigned since the last reassessment. So you can't really create statistics on that.
right. So so we reassessed this year. What is the process going forward to kind of keep up with the demand and the increase in Rhinebeck?
Absolutely. So then each year I review the trends based on the sales versus the assessments, maintain the data, so regularly visiting properties and maintaining assessments versus with keep assessments in line with sales prices. And that's really the goal, is so that you don't have a big shift like this, especially in an appreciating market like Rhinebeck.
Yeah. I know Steve's not back yet, but it's 2:42, and I'm just wondering if the next person's waiting for us.
I have Victor Brighton, which is the next one, the one after that, and I have a Victoria Polidoro.
You don't have Corky?
No, just Victor Brighton and Victoria Polidoro.
Is Victor Brighton a part of the Rudenhausen?
Victor Britton.
Yeah.
He's 2 down.
Mm-hmm.
But Polidoro is the Koroki thing.
Polidoro is Corky?
If you look at it, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we should probably get started then, because I don't know how long Steve's going to be.
Yeah, I don't see him in the waiting room. Okay, I'll let Victoria Polidoro in.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yep, I'm just pausing YouTube. Hold on. Do you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, hear you.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So
Gina, do you, just one moment. Gina, you don't want to do the oath?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Victoria, before we start, could you take our oath? Do you solemnly affirm that the information you are about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
I do.
Thank you. And then we have 10 minutes. So at the 8-minute mark, we'll give you a warning.
Okay, I have the next 3 appointments, so we can just go through them as fast or slow as we need to.
That's great, and we'll keep you under oath, so that's very helpful. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just talk us through, the first one we have is for Grinnell.
Koroki LLC.
Okay.
So this is the Rhinecliff Hotel in Rhinebeck. I'm sure you're all familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yep. It was purchased by my client in 2015, and at the time it had a long-term tenant in place. That tenant has not maintained the property, and he has not paid rent. So the property at this point is in a state of disrepair, and there's been no income coming in on it for about a year. I've given you a copy of their profit and loss statement. I mean, if you take a look at it and you go up, even excluding the property taxes, there's a significant loss for the period ending on July 1st, 2019.
Do you, before the pause, was your client pursuing efforts to dislodge this tenant?
The tenant at this point is surrendering the premises.
Mm-hmm.
So my client did take over a majority of the maintenance and operational costs.
Mm-hmm.
And the tenant should be gone at the end of this month.
Okay, thank you.
So the current condition of the property warrants a significant reduction in its assessed value. What I've provided to you is a estimate from Hudson Valley Water and Sewer. They've been hired to repair the wastewater treatment system at a cost of $82,750. This work is being overseen by the Dutchess County Department of Health and Chazen Engineering. This is starting this week, but it's been underway for some time, getting approval from the Department of Health, getting a building permit from the town of Rhinebeck. What I've also included is an engineering or an inspection report. So the inspection report talks about the condition of the property as well as the wastewater treatment plant. You can take out the wastewater treatment plant because he provided an estimate, and then we have the real values that I gave you. But the inspection report talks about some of the structural issues at the building. The balconies are rotted and unsafe. There's a rot in a lot of the fascia, soffit trim boards. Bases need replacement. There's damage throughout. A lot of the equipment is outdated. broken, has not been maintained. And so he estimated a cost of $99,900 just to repair the building itself, not including wastewater treatment plant. So based on all of that information, we believe that it should be reduced to $1,250,000.
Victoria, do you have any of the other comps that you were basing your reduction on?
So because this is an income, or should be an income property, it's commercial, and because there aren't really any other similarly situated hotels, we're not looking at recent sales or other comparable properties. We are asking you to take a look using the income approach to try and determine its value.
So Victoria, so I get the numbers right. In 2015, they paid 1,875, and
they did.
And so they're appraised at just like $500 less than what they paid for it 5 years ago.
No, and we're actually looking for a $500,000 reduction from what they paid for it.
Right, but they're assessed for what they paid for it in effect.
Correct.
Okay.
And we don't feel that accurately represents the condition of the property that it's in today.
Right.
Or as of July 1st, 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, when they purchased it, there was a thriving restaurant. There was the hotel was in operation. At this point, the hotel operations have ceased. The restaurant's closed, and there's a lot of deferred maintenance, which is a shame because I know it's a great property.
So obviously, this isn't a situation that applies to your client, but hypothetically, a property owner in your client's position could shut down the income producing operations, ask for an assessment based on the fact that property.
Sorry,
Yeah, I also have a dog who's barking.
Yeah, I think he hears someone's dog.
You see where I'm going with this. You know, the fact that there's no income today doesn't necessarily warrant an assumption that there will be no income and this property can't produce the income that it's previously produced.
Well, so
I mean,
my clients are giving you, they're not committing fraud. I mean, this is an actual state.
No, I'm not taking any accusation.
And when you look at an assessed value, it's a snapshot. It needs to be based on what the value is, not what it could be. And so we're providing with information to show what the value is currently. As property owners, it's in their best interest to improve the property and get an income stream. And as I said, they're undertaking these repairs right now.
Okay.
Okay, I have no more questions for that one.
No, nor do I. Steve, are you back with us?
And back, thanks. Microsoft decided to do an update and I couldn't do anything. Sorry about that. So we'll deliberate on this over the next week or two. We'll get a decision to the town and they'll get a letter out to you the first or second week in July.
Okay, thank you.
Good?
And Steve, Victoria is representing the next two as well.
Okay.
So she's continuing under oath and just going to move forward with the next one, which is the Britons. Is that correct, Victoria?
No, I have 15 Grinnell Street or 118 East Market Street.
Okay, we can do 15 Grinnell.
Well, our next appointment is Britain, isn't it? So.
Oh, I thought I had 3 in a row. If not, that's fine. I'll hop off.
Okay, yeah. Why don't we stay in order?
The Britons are here, so we
just move me to the waiting room.
Have to take them.
Okay, can you just move me to the waiting room? This way I don't have to sign back in.
Fred?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You keep jumping around in these squares. It's like
Hollywood Squares.
You just moved from my
I got
bottom
it.
left, and now you're in the
moved-
middle.
I moved her already, Steve. You want me to bring in the Britons?
Yes.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hi.
Hi, Victor.
Hey, Lisa. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So we are going to read a quick oath that you will agree to. We'll go through your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to do that. If we get to the 8-minute mark and we're still going, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end.
Okay.
You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So walk us through your grievance.
Well, I put together a comparison of 5 properties. I did. Can you guys see the what I submitted?
Yes.
Okay.
Go have it.
Okay, great. So my biggest challenge was, coming to terms with the value of the land in my comp. So my solution to that was I just was trying to go through all the different assessments based on the base lot estimate and the residual lot estimates, and there was just not enough information on the property cards to figure out how that worked. So except for the one that's, similar to mine on South Street on the stream, for all the other waterfront properties, I just did the non-land and made adjustments based on bedrooms, fireplaces, bathrooms, not even bedrooms, I'm sorry, because that's just part of square footage. And then garages, that sort of thing, and came up with those different comp values, and then just added my assessed land value to that, right, to come up with the comp. Those are the last 4. And then the first one, the Doyle property on South Street, that just because of the...
Just because of the what?
I think you froze a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you say that again, Victor?
Sure, I'm guessing that the values and I can't really tell where the line is between these different things, but I guess because I'm closer to the village center, the land is different. If you look at the Turpin property, that's on the same stream and we're right across from each other, the land values there are immensely different than mine. So do you guys have any questions about what I put together there? Because that contains the figures. I can share screen and take you through specifics if you want. Bring up the spreadsheet.
Oh, Victor, the Doyle's is the corner house?
Correct.
Okay.
That's on the corner by the blinker on my side, on the stream side.
Got it.
It has a 3-car garage. Do you know the one?
Which of these comps do you think is most like your property?
The Doyle house, just because of that eliminates the uncertainty of the land. But I tried to get rid of that uncertainty by not even trying to adjust the land values. So does that make sense what I did on the other 4? So I think they're all, I thought the waterfront issue, I was trying to eliminate the waterfront issue by picking waterfront properties. Because that's another hard thing too.
Yeah, I understand.
So the Turpins are on the exact same location. The only difference is they're on the other side of the village, I guess, because they're off of Violet. But they actually have much better water views than we do, because they look down the stream at the lake and they see the islands and they see the sunset. From my house, you can see the stream, but it's not dramatic. It's there. It's nice.
Okay.
So I think the Doyle house is the most similar. And the research I did was, once you do it per square foot, that takes care of a lot of the adjustment. And so you don't count bedrooms anymore. And so I made I thought it was pretty small adjustment for the number of bathrooms, because bathrooms are more expensive than regular square foot. And I thought also made, small adjustments for the garage. As it's one of my biggest life regrets is I don't have a garage.
Okay. Thank you.
And I just did a straight average of them. So I wasn't showing any bias to the properties, once I picked the 5. That's purely what the adjustment is based on, is the average of those 5 comps.
Okay.
Victor, what was your assessment prior to the reassessment?
That's a good question. I don't have that handy. I'm actually not in Rhinebeck right now. So I did bring some stuff, but I don't have that on my fingertips. You're talking about the previous assessment before Tyler Technologies did the revals? Yeah, no, I don't have that handy.
We can get that.
I hope so.
Anybody else have any questions for Victor before we?
No.
No.
Okay, so the next step, Victor, is that we'll deliberate in a week or 2 as a board, and we will get back to the town in early July. A letter will go out to you with the results.
Okay, so that the timeline. What is the last date that I would hear, Steve?
It's really up to Donna and her team how quickly they can get these done, but it'll be within the first 2 weeks of July, most likely.
Okay. And there's no, you guys have no questions?
No, I think you have a pretty comparable spreadsheet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's the first time I've done this, so I didn't really know what to do.
You did very well.
All right, thank you. Good luck, and thank you for donating your time to this unpleasant duty.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Enjoy wherever you are.
Yeah.
Taking care of mother-in-laws. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
You have to leave the meeting. Yep. No, he has. So I guess Victoria's back for 15 Grinnell.
Yes.
Hi again.
Hi.
So we'll keep you under oath. Why don't we just get going with 15 Grinnell?
Okay, sounds good. So 15 Grinnell Street is a single-family residential home located on Grinnell Street in the hamlet of Rhinecliff. The property contains a house which is basically uninhabitable. The electric's been cut off to the property. What we provided you with is a property inspection report, which estimates approximately $388,000 worth of repair is needed to make the property habitable again. And I can read to you from some of that, but at this point, we're really asking that the assessment be reduced to only the value of the land, again, because the house is uninhabitable. So if you look through the report, I'll highlight some of the issues. The electrical system is unsafe in multiple areas where wiring is spliced outside of junction boxes. There's mold and mildew in the framing, floor joists, ceilings, and walls. The foundation is bowing in places and has what appears to be underpinning at the southeast section. There's a main carrier beam at the west section, which is spliced or pieced together. The wooden floor in the basement is rotted, deteriorated, and falling in spots. The wood appears to have powder post beetle infestation. In the roof, multiple rafters have horizontal stress cracks. Sheathing has evidence of rot and deterioration. There's signs of leaking and mold. The storage tanks are aged and rusted, need to be replaced. The furnace is aged and rusted, needs to be replaced. The plumbing all needs to be updated. The kitchen needs to be completely replaced. The bathrooms need to be completely demolished and replaced. And then on the exterior, you know, the driveway, the fencing, all of those things are in need of repair. So it's basically a tear down, but because it's in Rhinecliff, you know, tearing it down is difficult. So a significant amount of investment is needed to bring this property into a spot where it's habitable.
Is that their goal, to tear down or to rehab?
So I don't know what their intention is. I've worked here for a while, and I know that Rhinecliff is very difficult. And you know, I believe that they do want to repair it eventually. You may ask, why did they buy this parcel for more than what it's worth? That might be the next question. And so this entity is related to the entity that owns the hotel, the Koriki LLC. So for the owner, there's value in an assemblage of parcels nearby. To them, there was value there, but that's not market value, and that's not assessed value. That's just seeing future potential. Places for, you know, workers to live or to expand potentially in the future, the hotel operations. So I'll walk you through some of the land values of the neighboring properties. 7 and 11 Grinnell have land values of $146,100 and $150,600 respectively, and they are located adjacent to this lot. And then 19 Grinnell and 23 Grinnell have land values of $449,700 and $476,600. So the land values appear to increase as you head south. And so since this is in the middle, we believe there's a land value of about $400,000.
And what's the size of the lot, Victoria?
It's 0.30 acres.
Okay, thanks.
And you'll recall, I mean, I know we're not talking about future value, but in Rhinecliff, there is a limitation on how many square feet a building can be.
Oh, I found it here, sorry.
Can you repeat what you just said, because the sound got a little wonky there?
Oh, I was just reminding you that in Rhinecliff, in order to keep that small hamlet feel, there is a limitation on how many square feet a building can be. So if they,
right,
you know, even if the lot can support something larger, you're limited in size.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So as of right now,
I'm sorry,
as of right now, you guys want us to assess the lot and not the house. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, obviously you have to assess both because it's a fixture on the lot, but we believe that the structure has a value of about 0 because so much work is needed.
How long has it been uninhabited?
So it was previously owned by Art of Building, and it was uninhabited at that point. So my clients purchased it in 2018. And Art of Building owned it prior to that, probably for, you know, at least 2 years. So I don't know how far back it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So again, a letter will go out early July with the findings decision.
Is the next one 118 East Market?
Yeah.
No, that's the following one.
But we've got one more person. The next one, no, we've got one person before that.
Okay, I'll go back in the waiting room.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Are the Dunns here?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
They are?
Kathleen Dunn is here.
Okay.
Let her in.
Yep. Fred, can you make me a co-host again?
That's right.
Hello.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi. There you go.
Oh, hi.
There you go. It's working now.
That's better.
Oh, we're at the window behind us. It's not good.
Oh.
That's okay. So I'm going to read a quick oath for us to agree to, and then we'll go through your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to go through the process. We get to the 8-minute mark. If we're still talking, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You solemnly affirm that the information you are about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
We do.
Okay, tell us about the property.
Before you go on, I just need to make a disclosure to the board. Kathy and Pete are neighbors of mine. I haven't spoken to them about this matter. I don't know what they're going to say, but we do at least have a friendly neighborly relationship. And so I don't believe there's any conflict of interest in my sitting and deliberating on this matter. But if my colleagues on the board disagree, then I will step out of this matter. So,
Or the Duns.
Or the Duns, yeah, what do they think?
or the Duns,
No.
yes.
I have no problem with it
I
at
have
all.
no problem with
No.
Lisa being here.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get started.
Okay. So where you want us to start? Okay.
Yep, walk
Right.
us through the grievance
Okay.
form.
So I guess we'll start with when we got the letter back with the lowered value of $5,700. What we were trying to figure out is when we provided the real estate information the first time I went in to talk to Tyler Industries, was that how they got to that number. And they showed me the properties they looked at, and everything they showed me was out in the town with much bigger acreage, and the house square footage were a little bigger. So we were trying to figure out, make a comparison within our development, how you came up with that number. And then why we had the real estate come in and do their assessment was to say, hey, this is what they compared properties to and how they got to their number. And basically the real estate said to us, there's no way they could sell our house for any more than around that $370,000 range. It was 350 to 370 was on the max. So we were trying to figure out how the Tyler Industries got to that number. And I agree that when we built the house in 2007, it was assessed and it should come up, but to that 421.6, I couldn't figure out the other properties in our neighborhood. And the other documentation that we gave and what we provided was that, especially with the house behind us and the adjoining properties, there's no way that we could sell our house, or we believe that it's worth that amount of money. We believe it's worth somewhere in that 350 to 370 range. And that's why we're trying to figure out with all the other properties around us and out in the town, how we got to that number. And that's what we're looking for, is try to figure that out and how it got that high. In that paperwork we provided, we also put in all the properties in our development. And the closest house we can come up with in our development that's a one-level ranch, no finished basement, is the Fodder residence down the street from us.
That's an acre, over an acre.
Well, that's an acre lot. We're only a half-acre lot. That's $126,000, 500 more than what our assessed value is.
Less than
Oh, less than ours. And in the South Shirts across the street, their house is 306, and you're saying our value was originally 421, reduced down to 415.9. So I'm just trying to figure out how you got to that number compared to the other properties. Just seems out of the range for us, is what we're trying to get to.
Here's one thing, usually Lisa's really good about explaining this, but we didn't come up with that number at all. That's not something that we can even explain to you. But what we're here for is for you to tell us why you don't agree with that number, which you've provided information about it, and we just want you to talk us through that.
Okay.
But as far as we're not even capable of answering how to arrive at that.
Okay.
Okay.
And the first packet we had gone in with, we had a real estate agent put together comps, so we knew what the market value was. So that was why we were really wondering why it was so high, based on if we were to sell it, there's no way she would ever list it for that much. So we just think it's too high based on the houses around us, plus the comps that she pulled from actual sales in the area.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I'm sure you have all the copies of the paperwork we sent in, but, just looking around at some of the homes that are comparable to ours in the neighborhood, it's just, for many of them, it's over $100,000 more that our house is assessed at. And I think it would be really hard to put it on the market if that's a full market value for over $100,000 in some of the other houses. And especially being that we had a local real estate agent put it together for us. Yeah, so
that's kind of where we're at. We're just trying to figure that out. I believe that the value the assessed value should go up from when we built it in 2007. I'm not saying that, but to the fore, there's no way our house in this development with the other houses around us, it's worth that amount of money. There's just no way. It's just not there with the houses around us in the development.
Pete, you built it in 2007?
Correct. We bought the land from the Patortis and we built it ourselves.
And how much did you pay for the land?
We paid an exorbitant amount, about 147 for the land, if you want to believe that one. It was at the height of the market. Right now, just for an example, Kathy's sister just bought the lot down the street, is building a house, and she paid $62,500 for a bigger lot. So we paid twice the amount of money back in 2007. It's the height of the market. Don't get me wrong. I sold my house and then to build this, but the lot was very expensive. The lot going down the street right now is Russ Huber's asking $90,000 for it, and there's no way he's going to get $90,000 for that lot. It's worth about $50,000. It's a half-acre lot, 100 by 200. So did I overpay for the lot? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it.
And what did you pay to build the house?
We paid, with everything was around just over.
Was it 198?
198, I think it was for the whole house. It was a modular. So it's a one level ranch modular, correct.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep. So the supporting documentation we gave you, and the other thing I get into with this on our neighborhood here is that there's also adjoining, and I know you're talking about other houses, but when we had the real estate agent come in and look out our back window and saw what was going on behind us, the remarks she made were just astonishing. Well, what's going on? So forget the fact, the building permits and all that stuff, I don't really care about. What the fact is, when I look at my back window, there's no way that what's going on behind me or next to me is with the campers on the property and all that other stuff going on. It's just not there. There's no way the value's there. So that's the part I'm having an issue with. And then I started to look through all these other houses in the neighborhood. I started to see compared the values and what they're assessed at, like the McConvilles and the Fadas, and I was like, wow, how can we be? It's just a one level ranch. I still can't wrap my hand around. It's not 2-story, it's one level, not a finished basement. It's a full basement, but it's not finished, and one level ranch at 2,000 square feet. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out on my own, is say, hey, here's everything we've given you. Here's the pictures. Here's the other houses. Here are the values. How did we get to this number? And I think, yes, it should be worth somewhere in that 350 to 370 range. I think that's fair. I don't think 415 is fair. But that's kind of where we're at with this.
I have only one other question. I've been there and I visited homes in that area. Are you facing the lake? Is there the road in between you and the lake?
Right, no. So when you come into Lakes of Pasco, you make your first right onto Center Street.
Yes.
Down, so the lake is behind us, another street over. So behind us, there's the back street, and the lake is way back in the corner.
Okay, so you have access to the lake, but no view of the lake.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay.
We're just about at 8 minutes. Are there any other questions?
I don't think so.
I think so. As long as, no, I think you've gotten everything we have. I do want to throw this out there just so you guys know. I know you guys know, Gina knows I work for the police department. And here's a little issue that I had. We had multiple people from Tyler Industries go into homes throughout this process, walk into people's homes. So myself and other officers had to investigate that. I also got the state police involved. So what happened was I had multiple entries where I dealt with the gentleman that did our house, who gave me the initial value on my house. When I called the first time to when I got this letter that said what it was, he's the one that answered the phone. All right, I had him interviewed, I interviewed him, and also had the state police interview him. So I just want to put that out there, just so you know that when he answered the phone, he knew who I was and what was going on. So I'm not saying there's any foul play here. What I'm saying is I had that interaction with them as part of my job. And then when I got the letter, I was kind of shocked. I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but what I'm saying is I've got multiple entries where they went into people's homes without their permission. One of them was one of our officers in the police department. He's also building a home in the town, and he went into there without permission. And we'd already told him not to go into people's homes, and they'd gone into multiple homes without people's permission. They just walked in under houses that were under construction. So I just wanted to put that out there so you guys are aware of it.
I'm glad that you disclosed that.
Yep.
That's good. Now, could you tell us if the goatees are good neighbors or not?
Oh, yeah.
Lisa
Yeah.
comes
Great
back.
neighbors.
Yeah. No, John and Lisa are great. So
Yeah.
love them.
Okay, great. So the next step in the process is that we're going to deliberate for the next week or so. We'll get a decision to the town. The town will send a letter out to you in early July.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Okay.
Yep.
Just
Bye.
leave the meeting. There you go.
Yep.
Thank you. Now we're back to Victoria.
Yep, ready?
Do you want to wait a few minutes for Lisa, or should we?
Lisa to come back, maybe.
Let's wait another minute to see if Lisa goes back. We're a little ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that. That was the call I was waiting for.
Nope, that's
So
okay.
I should be. Okay. Did we, you finished with the Duns, but you haven't moved past them, right?
Nope. You
Okay,
ready,
great,
Lisa?
Thank you.
Yeah, let's bring Victoria back.
Okay.
Hello again.
Hi, I'm back.
Hi, yeah.
Last time you'll see me today, I promise.
That's all right. So this is.
So let's talk about 118 East Market.
Okay, 118 East Market Street. This is a 3-family residence which provides workforce housing for people within the village of Rhinebeck. And by workforce housing, I mean the apartments aren't fancy. They're plain apartments that are rented to people who work in restaurants and who help make the village vibrant. They're not luxury by any means. There's 1 2-bedroom apartment and then 2 1-bedroom apartments within this 2,086 square foot structure. So the apartments are not very large either. I've provided you with an income statement. Now this was given to me and they didn't do it for an assessment. So it does include the real estate taxes. But if you add the taxes back in, the total income on the property during the period in question was $6,514. And so when you're trying to determine the value of a commercial property like this, the fair market value is the income minus the expenses, and then you divide it by the cap rate. So here, the total net income, excluding the taxes, is $6,514. If you assume a cap rate, which is a good cap rate of like 8%, the value goes down dramatically. If you apply something about like 3%, the value ends up being about $217,162 for fair market value. At 2% cap rate, the fair market value is about $325,743. So, this is not a very high income producing property. I think most real estate investors like to see a cap rate around 8%, 6%.
Victoria, can you give me the breakdown of the rental units?
So I know that the units, there's 1 2-bedroom and 2 1-bedrooms, but I don't know what the individual rents are. I can provide that to you in a follow-up.
Yeah, that's okay. There's just 1 2-bedroom and 2 1-bedrooms?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, that was quick.
Okay,
So again, the letter will go out in early July with a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Michael, you're on Zoom. You better behave yourself.
I didn't say anything bad. Huh?
Are you dressed? He might have come in from the pool.
Yeah, it's not, the entire town of Rhinebeck is watching.
No, I'm in Milan.
Next one's here when you're ready.
Okay, let's go.
When's our next? Never mind.
You have Julia? Oh, there she is. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, unmute. There you go. You're good.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to read a quick oath to go through, and then we'll go through your grievance. We have 10 minutes to go through it. If we get to the 8-minute mark, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Okay. And again, before we go forward, I just want to make a disclosure. Julia and I have socialized in the past, and I've also done some legal work for her, though having nothing to do with real estate or the property that she's grieving today. I don't believe that I have a conflict of interest in hearing this grievance, but Julia, if you do, or if any of the members of the board do, I will recuse myself and step out.
I don't.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started. So tell us a little bit about why you're here with your property.
I just want to, first of all, make my disclaimer, which is that I was intimidated by this form. I had a lack of time. I'm not sure if the protocol in general is to hire somebody to do an assessment and help with completion of the form. And just in general, I feel like my approach to this might strike you as somewhat amateur. And I apologize if that's the case. My husband and I are both in the mental health field. I know a lot of people aren't working or working as much. We're working more than ever. So it's also was completed in the context of a really, really busy couple of weeks. And the general complaint is really a comparative one relating to how other properties, some of which are quite similar to ours, are valued relative to ours. And when I went to, is it called Tyler? Tyler
Technologies, yes.
With the same information that I included in this grievance, including the comps from recent sales and some information about how other properties in my particular subdivision are being assessed. They presented a comp that I thought was really a misunderstanding of what my neighborhood is. And I'm not sure whether that information is still being used. They comped us to a house that's really an estate, 2 houses down, and didn't seem to have the comps of the houses that are really similar to ours that were built as part of the subdivision that we live in and that look the same as ours. All of which I included in this letter. So I don't know if you want to ask me questions or you want me to present what I presented in the letter or be more specific about
Well,
it.
if there are things that you would want to highlight to us to make sure that we understand.
Yeah. So as you may know, I don't
opportunity for you to do that.
So as you may know, I don't know how much you guys drilled down, but this subdivision was built on a former estate, and the houses, most of the houses that I offered as neighbors, recently appraised houses, were built by the same builder. And I don't want to, I don't know if this comes up in general with these grievances. I don't want to throw any of my friends in the neighborhood sort of under the bus and raise scrutiny about the value of their properties, but a couple of the real standouts are 1 Reeder Road, where my friends live, and their house is virtually identical to ours. I mean, we joke about it. It was built by the same builder at the same time. They have a little less land, and on the other hand, they have a screened-in porch and a pool house, and their appraisal is substantially less. And the other one is 55 Delano, which was also built by the same builder. And then there's a house on Reeder Road that I mentioned that, I mean, the argument might be laid that we've done some improvements to our house, but there's a house on Reeder Road. Again, it's a friend, so I feel comfortable kind of going into this, but they did much more significant renovations and improvements, and their house is also appraised at like very substantially less than ours. And then there's also the concern about recent sales in the neighborhood. There were 2 recent sales on Libera Court, which is like basically around the corner. And both of those houses sold for substantially less than they might have been estimated to be valued at. And I'm not quite sure why, but they both sat on the market for a long time. There's also our friends at 1 Reeder Road, who have the house virtually identical to ours, had theirs listed for sale for off and on for 2 years, around 700, and nobody even came to see it. I'm not sure, you know, and I'm not sure whether this is a lasting trend in the real estate market, but I think these are substantial homes that are actually not that attractive to vacationers because it's a neighborhood, and they're vinyl sided, and they don't have that country romance. And so there may be a bit of white elephants. And our vested interest is in just, you know, our property being valued similarly to the neighbors, and the recognition that, you know, the higher the tax goes on this property, the harder it might be for us to sell it when we need to.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Julia?
No.
No. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
I mean, it's really hard for me to do this. I believe in local property taxes. I sent 3 kids through the Rhinebeck School District. I have supported increases in the school tax levy and participated in community efforts to get people to vote for increased tax bills and auditoriums and so forth. And, you know, my husband and I are working, and we earn money, and we want to pay our share. This is really an issue for us about feeling that we're valued as outliers relative to the neighbors, as I've said. I have no grievance with the town of Rhinebeck trying to get us to pay taxes. That's just the context in which I wanted to clarify our motivations. And we are thinking, you know, to downsize, and I'm just concerned about a tax bill on our house that makes it hard to sell in a neighborhood where it's already proving difficult to sell houses. We're already anticipating that we may have to take a loss when we need to sell, and that it might be on the market for a long time. And then if attached to that there's a high tax bill, we're kind of in trouble. So that's where I'm coming from. And I thank
Julia,
you.
I have one question. The numbers that are on our sheet that we have here that you submitted, your total assessment is 750 basically, is that correct?
The proposed new assessment
Yes.
is, hold on, I am terrible with keeping numbers in my head. I don't want to mislead. 750, right, that's right.
So then your estimation of the value is 650.
Right.
So the 604, does everyone see that? What's that about?
The 604.
604, 200.
That,
Still next to it?
I think that was the last assessment value.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, the last assessment. The 604 was the, I don't know what that is.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay. Thank you.
If you guys can't tell me, who can? I actually found it really confusing to try to parse these numbers. But my understanding is that our assessed value now is 750, and that it's a substantial increase from the last time we were assessed.
Okay.
And 604 is the last assessed value. I don't know.
So maybe that is correct.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we've been assessed at 604.
Okay.
And I think our statement of 650 reflects the fact, like, yeah, the house might be worth more than it was assessed when it was at 604, but not $150,000 worth more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so the next step in the process will be for us to deliberate, and we'll do that in the next couple of weeks. A letter will go out from the town in early July with the decision.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess you're all volunteering in this effort, right? You're, yes, so
Yeah.
I thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.
You too.
Next person is queued up.
Okay.
Chestnut.
Ready?
Yes.
Yes. And then unmute Mary Grace and you're good to go. Do you see your unmute button? There you go.
Yes.
You're good.
I should know this. I've been doing a lot of services.
That's what I figured.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for listening to me and for having this time with me. I appreciate it.
So before we get started, we'll have a quick oath to go through, then we'll go through your grievance. We have about 10 minutes to go do this. If we get close to 8 minutes, I will give you a warning that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. This
Okay.
is my first time doing this, so.
Oh, you're doing fine. Be easy.
So far, so good.
You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
So help me God. Yes.
Okay, let's get going. Tell us about your property.
I just bought this property a little less than a year ago. It was in July. And it's a lovely house on Chestnut. And, but it's not a huge house. You know, I can't remember the exact square footage, but it's not a large house. It's 1,400 square feet, I believe. And what else do I need to say? I'm sorry for my ignorance here.
Bedrooms.
Excuse me?
How many bedrooms?
I have 3, but one is so small that I use it as my office.
And how many baths?
I have 1.5 baths.
Thank you.
Is it correct that you paid $620,000 when you bought it a year ago, or a little less than a year?
I did.
Okay.
Which means I'll be working till I'm 110 to pay it off. Yes.
But so you're looking for a reduction in the assessed value below what you paid for it. So
Right.
can you
I know
speak
that
speak
the
to
house,
that?
I'm sorry, ma'am, what?
No, I just asked if you could speak to that.
Yes, the house
the-
across the street from me is actually has a little bit larger lot and also a little bit larger house, and it went for 475. And I know that at the time when I bought the house, I was with Jim Ettinson, and I said, "Am I overpaying for this house?" His response was, "You're paying at a premium." And so, but I did go ahead and buy it. So when I saw that it'd been assessed at this much, I felt that it could actually be assessed a little lower.
Okay. And what's the basis for your choosing 520,000 as the
I just
assessed
went
value?
because the house,
Value.
the house across the street went for 475. And so I just,
Okay.
and then so I thought that because it was close in that, I just reduced it to that.
Okay. Did you base it on any comparable sales or, comparable assessed values for local properties?
The one across the street.
Other than that, anything other than that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys must have been really busy with all this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
I had the liberty of joining the first year and went into this one. So I'm really ecstatic for next year.
Well, as I said, this is the very first time I've owned a home. I have lived in church housing all my life. And well, not all my life, but I mean, since I've been a rector of a church. And I came up here because I got a position at Bard as the chaplain and then as a small parish on River Road, St. John's, Berrytown. And I was renting on Livingston and I fell in love with Rhinebeck. So this is where I'm going to stay. This is where I'm going to retire. Obviously, I can't retire till I'm 110 because I bought the house. But I'm thrilled to be part of this community.
Good.
I love it.
Thrilled
So
to hear.
thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next step in the process is for us to deliberate over the next week or so.
Okay.
And we will get back to the town. The town will send out a letter to you in early July with the decision.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you.
And kind of guiding me through this as I.
Thank you, Mary Grace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I need to do or any other information I need to share?
I don't think so. I think we have everything.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank
Well, good luck, guys. I'll keep you in my prayers.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good weekend. It's going to be hopefully a nice one.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
Okay.
you.
Do I now exit the?
Yes,
Yes.
the bottom right
Leave
hand
meeting.
side.
I got it.
Get out
Okay.
of here.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye
You're
bye.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Gibson. Oh, you put in Bruno Henry for that. Got it.
Are we up to Willie now?
No, we've got Bruno Henry next, but we're also running
Oh, I see. He was stuck in there. Okay.
right. But we're also running about 10 minutes ahead. So
Okay, cool.
Being you're running ahead, can I bug you all?
Oh.
go.
To Elizabeth, we can use the big room. She'd just like us to stay all at one end of it. So it's easier to sanitize after, but we can spread out easily.
You bet.
If you could all enter the building through the back handicap ramp, we'll let you in there. And we
Okay.
all have to wear masks.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's 9:30 on Monday, right?
Correct.
Okay.
You guys have an estimated quitting time for that day? Or are you gonna go to midnight?
We're not.
going to
Oh, no.
I knew I'd get an answer that way.
I don't know, maybe 5 o'clock. Let's see how we go.
Whip.
Yeah, right.
I think commit to 5 and maybe we'll get finished sooner if all goes well.
I think we're gonna run out of gas sometime around mid-afternoon, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Should we take a break?
Yes, please.
You've got 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And Bruno's here, but he's early.
Okay, so why don't we just take a break?
Yeah.
That sounded like a beer opening up.
I wish. Pomegranate seltzer.
Well, that's no fun.
Someone say beer. I may or may not have told my wife that after tomorrow, I'll be leaving Rhinebeck with pre-ordered margaritas.
Yeah, you can get, little half pitchers at Gabby's or Gigi's and get the sake ones to go.
Exactly.
Plenty of choices.
That's it.
They're making the sake margaritas the same way that Bruce used to make them down at the China Rose.
Yes, I think so. I believe so.
Those were dangerous.
Yeah, they're so good.
They were so good. You can't have two though.
Yeah, I've never tried. It's just, you get one to go, but you have a few sips in the car. It's kind of nice on the way home.
Yes. Oh my, that sounds
I
really
think
good.
Sergeant Dunn isn't still on the call.
Yeah.
Well, I had to make a birthday cake for my son's girlfriend, and I just put a chocolate ganache on a Bailey's Irish cream cheesecake that she requested.
Wow.
I wish we were eating it right now.
Miss Gina, my birthday passed, so I could love that birthday cake.
Would you like that? Well, it's funny. We have a little Guatemalan boy, and he was going to find out what her birthday cake, her favorite birthday cake. So I said, okay, that's your job. So he comes to me and he says, she wants a cake out of cheese. And I'm like, okay, she wants a cheesecake. So then he asked my son what his favorite one is for his birthday next week. And he comes to me and says, Will wants a cake of carrots. This poor boy thinks that we don't know how to have birthday cakes. He thinks we want cakes out of cheese and carrots.
Yeah, right? Carrot cakes are my favorite.
Oh, is it? I've got a good recipe for that one.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yep.
Love
I'll
carrot
send
cake.
it to you, John.
that would be great.
It's a good recipe.
Maybe one thing we can do with the kids during this quarantine.
Yeah, you bet.
Oh, and we have a ton of carrots still too.
Good.
We belong to this thing called Misfits Market, and they send you organic produce once a month, or once a week, once a month, or every 2 weeks, and they just continually send them. For the last month and a half, they've been sending all carrots, so we have a ton of those left.
Oh, good. I'll send this then to you. I'll
Thank
email
you.
it.
Perfect.
Is Linda, are you there? Are you just out of camera range?
I'm here.
Okay, so maybe we should get started because it's 3:52. I think that'll be here.
Okay, ready for Bruno?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Hello?
His audio didn't connect.
Oh,
Mr. Henry?
Like he's frozen.
no,
Oh.
he's moving.
Not frozen. His
Hear us?
audio didn't connect.
Oh, there we go.
Here it comes.
Okay. Yeah, it failed twice now.
Mr. Henry, if you can hear us, you may want to call in.
He can't hear you if the audio doesn't connect.
Oh, okay, so let's hold him up a sign asking him to call Donna's number.
Yeah,
I got to write that again.
yes, yes. Actually, I think he wants Donna to call him, which would be fine. Yes, yes.
Good, Lisa.
Donna, can you call him?
Should I call him? How about if I call him?
You can call him. Do you have his number?
Yeah.
Lisa, did you move spots? Your background is different.
Yeah, I had to move my iPad around because it was
Mr. Henry?
charging.
Hi, so now I'm on the board. My name is Gina. And so we have you on if they can hear me. Should I put him on speaker or can?
Yeah, put him on speaker.
Okay, so you're on speaker now.
Hi. Why don't you hold up your phone and talk into the phone so then we can hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much for hearing me and being patient with all this new technology.
No worries.
So I'm gonna read you a quick oath before we get started, and then we'll get into your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to go through it. At the 8-minute mark, I'll give you a 2-minute warning. Okay?
Okay.
You solemnly affirm that the information you are about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. Tell us about your property.
My property is on 262 Morton Road. We bought the land 22 years ago, I think. I don't remember exactly. And then we built the house, and we've been living there on and off. My wife her mother was living in Red Hook, and her brother is living in Rhinebeck at Wells. And when I received the letter with the new assessment, I almost had a heart attack because the assessed value jumped by 50%. And I'm not sure I understood why, because I didn't think the price of real estate jumped by that much. I was late to call you. I could not speak to the assessing company that did the work because last year a tree fell on the house, and we had worked on it. A lot of it was delayed because of the virus, and in fact, we're not being able to go back as we are just finishing the work. So I tried to find a way to find what would be a just, correct value with what I know and what I could do. And I went on the internet and looked at the information that there is on the Duchess website. And I think that you have the document, I worked on a document trying to find something which was fair. And exactly, yeah. And the information which is on the Duchess site showing all the different lots and the assessed value of all the lots, and knowing the price of the acres, the assessed price of the acre, the number of acres, I tried to plot the different value, especially of the properties just around me, to have something which was comparable. And the property, there are 3 properties which are 5 acres, which is what ours is. And I saw some discrepancies in the prices. And also, to be more complete, I looked at the other houses on Morton Road, which had been sold on the market over the past 2-3 years, or were on the market, to give another way to see the market value, because the assessment, from what I understand, is based on the market value. And by plotting all these different dots, because you see that there is a difference between the price per acre of our land, which is on top of the graph, and all the others. And to be fair, it can be said that the bigger the lot is, maybe the smaller the price is. And the property which have been sold on the market are much bigger. They are between 8, 12, 15 acres. And if you see the way it looks on the map, it looks that it's almost a straight line. It's very interesting. So by doing that, I suggested what could be a fair price per acre of the land where we are located. So the value set up by the assessor for the land is 1,299,200. And following this calculation, you come with a number which is 975,000 lower. Then I did the same thing with the house, using this time the square footage, seeing how the square footage is published in also on the internet with different real estate sizes. And doing a similar analysis, the house was assessed at 665, and the same type of analysis were coming at 558. When I added the two numbers, instead of the value of 1,958,000, I come with a value of 1,533,000. So again, I'm not a real estate expert, and I was trying to do something which was fair, not trying to come with unbiased evaluation, knowing again I'm not a real estate person. And so that's why I'm coming in front of you to ask you for your fair and judgment.
Mr. Henry, I have a question for you. Did I understand you correctly to say that your view or your analysis showed that the larger the parcel of property, the smaller price per acre? So the lower the price per acre?
Yes, that's what I thought generally. If you buy 1,000 acres, you're not going to pay the same price than if you buy 10 acres. And that's what I felt by looking at different prices. And as I wanted to be fair, I didn't want to take the average price per acre on Norton Road, because you see there is a huge discrepancy between some lots, and all the lots which are cheaper are the lots which are bigger. So that's why I try to do an analysis to say how to mathematically come with a relationship between the size of the property and the price per acre, which is what I did in one of the graphs, and next to it, on this graph, there is a graph with a yellow arrow, which shows what is the trend. And as I said, I was really amazed that it was a straight line, which was kind of justify the theory. So again, I'm not a real estate person. I'm an engineer by training, and I tried again to find something which was fair. So you would not tell me, yes, but it's.
I understand that reasoning. When you did this, when you plotted this, did you look only at, you were using sale prices, right? You weren't using best value.
Yes.
So you were using a blended price for land and house value. And if you have a larger plot, then that's going to be, you're going to see a reduced per acre price, I would think, because the house takes up a smaller overall percentage of the property.
No, what I said is that I compare the land assessed price of all the properties on Norton Road.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this information and I have the number of acres. So I can define the price per acre the way it has been assessed. And when you plot it, which is one of the first graphs that I have, you see that there is a big difference between the houses around our property, I mean the acres around our property, which are all 5 acres, and the other acres on the road. Mm-hmm. And I could have said, well, I should be assessed at the lowest price. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was not fair because I tried again not to come complaining and just for the sake of complaining without a real case to say that when you have a bigger lot, the price per acre is lower. Right. And it's a discounted quantity, and I try to find a way to assess it fairly.
Mr. Henry, I have Lisa, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Henry, when you bought the land and built the house, how many bedrooms and bathrooms are there currently in the house?
There are 2 bedrooms in the house.
And how many baths?
And there are 3 and a half.
3.5 baths and 2 bedrooms.
2 bedrooms. And yes,
2.5
there
baths.
is 2 bathrooms and a guest, when you can wash your hand or whatever.
And when you bought the land and the house, what year was that? And what was the cost at that time for both?
For both, I think, I don't want to lie to you. I don't remember. I think we bought the land for $150. It was 25 years ago.
Sure. Okay, so it was 25 years ago.
Yes.
And you bought the land for $150.
And I think that everything was finished because it took a while. We built the house in pieces. It was probably about $550, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next step in the process is for us to deliberate and come to a decision. The town will mail out that decision to you in early July.
Okay, well, I thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. And I wish all of you to be safe. And I wish all of you that next time you could do that in person. Not that I want to be in front of you.
We wish the same for you.
Yes,
thank you. Take care and be safe.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
William Sanchez next. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
good to get that out of the way before the next one starts.
Yep.
Like Lisa had said previously, I have a friendship relationship with Mr. Sanchez and Miss Aaron Sanchez, and I guess now they have to hear it, but I don't have any issue with nobody else on the board, or Willie and Aaron do not have any issue with me being a part of this. I will also be a part, or I could recuse myself with my relationship with Willie.
I can say the same thing.
That's true. I mean, it's Willie Sanchez. Who can't say that?
Family friend, John.
I beat you to it, Gina.
So really, if you and Aaron are okay with everybody here listening and hearing your side, I think.
No, I believe that everybody, look, I think we're a good community. I think we're all good people. We're all doing the best we can for the community. So, no, I have no problems with anybody staying aboard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So before we get started, we'll go through a little oath and we'll go through your grievance. We have about 10 minutes for the process. When we get to the 8-minute mark, if we're still going, I will give you a heads up that we're almost at the end, okay? Okay. You solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's get started. Walk us through your grievance.
Well, we are assessed for $440,000. I mean, obviously you have the RP 524, so you see that we're, well, I don't know why I took my glasses off.
I'm having difficulty hearing you. Can you come a little closer to the microphone?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
We're assessed at $440,300 based on being a 2-family property. When I filled out the RP 524, according to the directions, misclassification doesn't apply in Rhinebeck because they don't tax based on homestead or non-homestead. We also had an appraisal done, so we are grieving under, I don't know what it's called, but being overassessed. I don't know what it's actually called. Excessive assessment. So we did provide the appraisal. I don't know if all of you get a copy of all of the information.
Yeah, we all have it.
Okay, so the appraisal itself is $100,000 less than the value that the town has given us based on it being a 1-family home. We have 1,008 square feet above grade and a finished basement. I think we're both confused as to where this number came, this additional $200,000 jump in our assessed value came from. I mean, I understand what an appraisal is and how they come by their numbers by using comparable sales values. You want to chime in?
Help me. In the very beginning, you said something about it being a 2-unit structure or something?
So according to the tax assessment rule, we're a 220 and we were reclassified as a 210. So we are not classified correctly on the assessment roll.
And did you clarify that with the assessor's office?
Yeah, I just got my my assessment notice from the zoning. Because what happened was when I first built the house, of course, the basement wasn't completed. And my mother, I had my mother move in with me. I think it was in 2001, 2002, and I finished the basement. Well, my mom went back to Brooklyn. And at one time I was thinking about making a rental space, but it didn't work out that way. So we rezoned it back for refinance purposes in 2014 as a single family. And it's been single family since 2014 again.
Since the 2020 assessment roll has come out, we haven't spoken with anybody because we're going through the tax grievance. I've never actually done this before. So I haven't called up Matthew Sabia or Donna and said, hey, you have me wrong. I was also waiting for Mr. Sanchez here to show me his CO to show that we are classified as a 1-family. So that's just one issue. And I'm not sure, honestly,
how property taxes change based on zoning, but just based on our appraisal alone, I just feel like that's an argument in itself. I'm not sure what exactly we're supposed to tell you, what you'd like to know.
Explain to me a little bit about the basement. Is it a rentable unit?
A who unit?
A rentable unit.
No, we're not renting it. It's too close. It's like we share everything. The electric, the water, the lights, the air conditioning, the laundry room. So it's not, it was a mother-daughter is what I did to take my mother. That's all it is. So now we use it as a TV room and an office for COVID.
Right. Is there a kitchen in there still then or no?
The little kitchenette and a bathroom, yes.
Okay. That could be where some of the discrepancies lie. I'm not sure, but that could be.
And that's what we're here to try to.
But that's something that they would be able to clarify and fix in the assessor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a CEO saying that I'm a single family dwelling. I'm not sure. That's what we're confused.
Well, apparently zoning's not talking to assessment is what's happening.
I mean, do you want us to send you guys a copy? We have it scanned. We can email it to anybody, whoever needs it.
I don't think that's necessary. To the extent that misclassification of the property is an issue, that's something that we can discuss during our deliberations.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I have nothing else.
Anybody have any other questions?
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm amazed. This is only the second time in the 28 years I've been in this household. How they assess the value. You know, I know when I first bought the property in 1992 to build, I think I bought it for like $33,000. And then I'm looking at the new tax rate. It says it's valued at $192. And I'm like,
193,000.
193,000. Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, how's that work? Especially my property is a good portion of the property is being utilized by the village of Rhinebeck. When I first built the property, we gave them a right-of-way access, which is almost like 15, 20 feet wide, 390 feet long. I don't know if you see the tax on the land property. And I got a 3-foot culvert drain that goes from the whole border of my property and behind my property into Crystal Lake. And it's not maintained. It's something that I've been maintaining by myself for the last 28 years. I have culvert drains. I get the water from Startiniville. I get it from Mill Street, Parsonage. All this drainage stuff is going right through my property. And I was like, and then I'm in a cul-de-sac that they redone the blacktop in like 2 years ago. And they tilted all the water into my property. So the first 60, 70 feet of my property is all saturated and wet. And then they throw all the snow there, it's all saturated. So it's like it's unusable property the way it's been handled. And it's like, so I'm just confused. How does it become $190-something thousand with all these other issues that are affecting us in the property? I don't know. Alex, I'm just a little confused with that.
So the process today is to give you the opportunity to give us bring to our attention the information that you think we need to bear in mind when we deliberate.
Okay.
So if you have questions about how the assessment was arrived at, those probably would be better addressed to the assessor, but outside of our.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we can do that.
So then maybe to sum it up, I mean, first, obviously we have an appraisal, which is showing a fair market value of the house for well under what it's assessed for. Secondly, we have 0.88 acres of land, which I'm assuming they use a formula to get the amount. But again, as Will said, a great portion of our border of that is being used by the village, although it's not maintained. And as well as the front of our property is also used for snow storage. Not that that has anything to do with you, but it does take away from our use of the property. And then just looking over the tax assessment roll, I don't know if this has bearing on anything. It's just when we look at the square footage of our home and we take away for land or we add back for land, it just doesn't seem to all jive with some of the other similar houses that we've seen. So we're just kind of shocked by our assessment. We got the appraisal so that we could see whether, you know, we just happen to live in we happen to live in a great neighborhood and we're lucky that way. But at the same time, we want to be able to live here, you know, when we retire. So, you know, just taking those things into account, I don't know what else we could really tell you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's any other questions that you may want to ask for more clarity.
I don't think so. Anybody else?
Able to build the best snowman in the village.
Yeah, come over here.
The snow usually stays, not this year, we're lucky, but the snow is usually there until almost June. So it's piled up like 10, 12 feet high, like 30 feet thick.
Well, are you zoned for a ski slope back there?
Maybe we should be.
Well, I think that's what I'm being taxed on and assessed on, because I think I did put out some flyers on ski trip vacation.
Right. All right. Thanks, you guys. Unless you have
Thanks for listening. We've
Thank
never
you.
done this before, so we appreciate your patience with us.
I appreciate it. Yep.
So we're gonna debate over the next week or two, and we'll come up with a decision, and the town will send you a letter first to the second week in July.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. That's done.
Now, I am keeping track by my numbers today, Steve.
Oh yeah, what are you up to?
I've got F33, but Sue Koff counted really as 2, but I only counted her as 1.
Yeah, I count everybody separate. I'm on F36.
Oh, I've been
You
keeping
can
a
both
running
be-
pod since yesterday, so I'm up to.
That's too scary, Lisa. I don't want to get into triple digits.
That's where you start figuring, like, the numbers getting mixed up.
Well, how did you count Val Kilmer then?
I did, but I'm not going to count her twice because when she comes tomorrow, I'll just give her the number that she has.
Yeah, I didn't count her since we didn't see her.
No,
Doesn't
I haven't even taken her out of the box yet.
Okay.
I
Justin
did.
Cole is on my telephone and he is doing Madeline's.
Okay, we're good.
All
Okay,
right.
Let me know when you're ready.
go
What are we
ahead.
up to?
Watterson, 34 Knollwood Road.
Gotcha.
Justin?
Okay, go ahead.
Justin? Okay,
Yep.
you're on speakerphone.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm going to read a quick oath for us to get started, and then we'll go through your grievance. We have about 10 minutes to go through it. If we get to the 8-minute mark, I will let you know that we're getting close to the end, okay?
Sounds great.
Okay. Do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Okay, let's get started. Walk us through your grievance.
Sir, can you give me your name again? I'm sorry.
My name is Justin Cole. I'm an attorney in town, but I'm doing this more as a neighborly deed because John and Madeline live behind me, and unfortunately, John hasn't been well and had to go in for an unexpected surgery today.
Thank you.
So they gave me this broker opinion from Paul Hallenbeck, which established a value of $515,200 as far as his opinion of the value on the property. And I was just wondering whether there's any room for us to move down from, I believe you guys are assessing at 675.
Where is the 515 that you were just referring to?
If you flip to the third page at the bottom, the top of the page says conclusions. The very last paragraph says that in his opinion, the correct value of the property would be $515,200.
Oh, I see. Okay. So is that the value that the Wattersons are asking for, 515,200?
Well, that's the value that their real estate broker attributed to the property, and that, you know, given the delta between the 675 and the 515, they wanted me to
come and see if there's, something that we could work out.
Okay, the reason that I asked the question is that on their complaint form, they put down an estimate of market value at 550. So I just wanted to make sure we were all talking about the same thing.
Yeah, so if you're agreeable to a $550,000 assessment for their property, this can be a really short conversation.
Well, we're not going to make a determination while we're on the phone. We'll be deliberating after all of the hearings are concluded.
Justin, do you have any idea how large the attached garage is at 34 Knollwood? We don't have an actual picture of the subject.
What was your question?
What size is that attached garage? Is it a one single garage? Is it a triple garage?
I think it's a 2-car garage, and I don't know. I've seen the garage because I live right in front of them. I don't know if there's like a direct walkway from the garage into the house or if they have to walk on the exterior, but it's a 2-car garage.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to look it up on my phone. You guys, I don't have any other questions. I just want to get a visual.
No, I don't have any other questions either.
So, to put this in some context, I live at 36 Knollwood. I believe you have me assessed for 540. I don't have it right in front of me, and I'm happy with that assessment. I know my neighbor, Joe Button and Donna Button, they live, I believe it's at 32 Knollwood, and I don't know if you've met with them yet or not, but they have an appraisal, and I believe their appraisal puts their property in the low 5s as well. So I'm a real estate attorney. I'm very familiar with kind of where properties trade in this neighborhood, and to be honest with you, there really aren't any properties that trade north of with a 6 handle on them. You have to go further up Knollwood past the school, or on the other side of South Street in the village. If you look at the south side of the village, I don't know that there are any properties really in like the Sportini neighborhood or right where we are that have ever traded even for 600,000.
Justin, they're the last house before you turn into the parking lot at the elementary school?
That's correct. So it's a 4-lot subdivision. My house is the half-acre lot on the front side of it, and their house is behind mine. It's a flag lot.
Okay, got it. And what's the acreage on their parcel?
I believe it's close to 1.5 acres. But a lot of, the way that the 4-lot subdivision is cut up, a lot of that 1.5 acres really isn't usable land because there's a shared driveway. And there's also an easement that I have over their property where I have my driveway. So really, until you get back to their property, that front piece of their land is unusable because it's all kind of common space. It's either a shared driveway with the 4 other houses in the subdivision.
Yep, I see it. I've got it.
So they definitely have a larger parcel than mine, but usable acreage is probably closer to an acre, not 1.5.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so the process is that we will deliberate on these over the next week or two. A letter from town will go out early July with the decision.
I appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Have a good weekend, guys.
You too.
You too.
Do we have Green?
Yep. We have Leon Green.
Okay, let him in.
Leon Green, and then there's a Ruby Friedman, but here's Leon Green.
Hi, Mr. Green, just unmute yourself if you could.
There we go.
Perfect.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you? So we're going to get started. There's an oath to begin, and then we'll go through your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to do that. If we get to the 8-minute point and we're still discussing it, I will give you an 2-minute warning.
Okie doke.
Could you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully with the best of your ability to do so?
I do.
Okay, let's get started. Walk us through your paperwork.
All right, so I take it you all have a copy of the form as well as the 4 attachments that I sent over?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to walk through the first attachment, which was the notes file, which then makes some other references. So basically, the property, we moved here in 2017. We purchased the property in March. The property had been on the market at the time for over 3 months when we purchased it. The property has had its appraisal increased from 420,000 to 775,000 over the past year. The $420,000 appraisal was set by judicial consent decree and judgment, which was filed on February 19th of 2019, last year, which set the 2019 assessment value. That was done because the judge looked at our purchase and confirmed that, in fact, we had bought this house at arm's length after 3 months on the market. There were lots of other properties on the market. This was, in fact, the fair market price for this house. 2 of the other properties that were in the assessor comps that were provided were actually on the market at the same time as this house and sold for more than $200,000 more. So clearly they are not actually direct comps with regards to a value assessment. The value of the house when we bought it was low. Moving to point 2 here, looks like it was lower than market. And the reason is that the house, when we purchased it, was in terrible condition, which we have made some improvements to since. The property is also subject to a number of detrimental conditions. We're directly adjacent to the Village Highway Department, where we get to listen to and smell the mulching operations and have lights on 24 hours a day and heavy equipment moving in and out, such as for the village repaving, where they're staging the entire project in an adjacent 300 foot away from my doorstep property. We're also 300 feet from the Brookmead property, which includes 24-hour street lights, athletic fields, generator-powered lights on the athletic fields aimed at our house, and noise from the athletic fields, all summer long. We have a flag-shaped lot, which with a 900-foot-long gravel driveway that's got a 20% uphill grade in both directions. And we also have grade on the property based on the pitch that makes only about 30 or 40% of the property usable, because so much of the property is on a steep sloped pitch. And that obviously affects things. I included some photos just to try and give you some imagery to understand the kind of condition of the house relative to the comps. In the assessor comps that were provided, they graded the condition and the construction grade of our house as being B good and 2 good, which were the highest grade on any of the comps that were provided. In fact, our house has 1989 cracked vinyl siding with garage doors that are rotting and steps that are falling apart and hardscaping that's falling apart and a deck that's falling down. So, while we did have to dump a bunch of money in when we came in, it unfortunately isn't in a lot of things that you see, because we had to do things like the roof and the mechanicals on the house and so on. So, while we did put a good chunk of change in, which was permitted, and the town has record of that, which was about 115,000 something that we put into the house, it in no way brings this house up to par with the high grade comps that were provided. So I'm going to skip down now to point 3, the comparable properties. The assessor provided to us the comps that were used for the valuation of the house, the assessment of the house. And we don't think that the comps presented really give an accurate picture of this property. First off, there were comps included that predated our own purchase of the house, but our purchase itself was not included as a comp. And I don't understand, how that would be, but that is what it is. Our purchase price was at about $108 a square foot because of the condition of the house and because of the detrimental characteristics of the property and the lot. Certainly we've put some of that money back in terms of fixing roofing and mechanicals and so on. Comp 1 that was provided by the assessor was purchased in January of 2017, which is 2 months before we bought our house, but when our house was on the market. It was for sale at the same time. It sold for $250,000 more. We saw that house. That was a very nice house, stucco and brick Tudor on Knollwood, not backed up to the village facility or to Brookmead, with an exterior structure as well. Comp 3 was picked all the way back to 2016. So it's 3.5 years old. I'm not sure why we have comps that are going back 3 years when there's so much property sales in this area that clearly present more current comps. Comp 3 going back to 2016 was the highest priced comp in the lot, and the date was out of range significantly from any more recent comp. So it felt to me like that was pulled to pull a high price in. Likewise with that comp, the grade of construction and the finish of the house was nicer, and it's not backed up to the village highway department or to Brookmead or on a flag shaped lot where you lose 60% of the land. Comp 4 is from 2018. I did go under Realtor and look at that because Realtor has all of the photos still up from that sale. Once again, much higher quality, higher grade house than ours. And likewise, as far as the plot, not next to the village, backed up to 200 acres of undeveloped land, and not sitting next to Brookmead. So our feeling was that 3 of the 5 comps that were provided were really not appropriate comps to this house. They were of a different finish grade. They were a different, maintained condition of the house, and the property itself did not really tie to what our house is appropriately. The remaining 2, which were radically lower, right? He gave comps at $220 a square foot, $200 a square foot, and then $130, I'm a little off the numbers here. It was like $132, $137, and $170, something like that. You have it all in front of you. But so 2 of those 5 seemed appropriate, and they seemed more in line with the comps that we were able to find. Because of the property's condition and because of the location, we felt that it would be appropriate to grade towards the lower end of what his comps were presented as. And then likewise, we presented 4 comps, which were all transacted in 2019. And those comps, I think, are reasonable, both in terms of the time they were sold, the date they were sold, as well as more reasonable on the properties themselves. His lower end comps and the comps that we pulled all ended up roundabouts the same place, which was mid 130s a square foot, which would put on a comp estimated basis the property value at somewhere in the vicinity of 515 to 525. We did come and present all the same information, though we didn't have the assessor comps at the time. We verbally went through them with, I think his name was Dave, who was one of the assessment contractors who was at the informal grievance day. And he reviewed all the stuff together, and he said that he was going to recommend an adjustment of the assessment, wrote down 525 and circled it. And then we got a letter back adjusting the proposed value or preliminary value from $799 or something to $775. It took down by like $24,000. So that's basically the gist of it. We don't think that the comps are accurate. To the condition and location of the house. We don't think that we could remotely market this house for what is being suggested as the comp value. And when we've looked at other comp properties, proposed assessment values, we see a lot of properties that were purchased around the same time as ours that don't have 100% increase being placed on their assessed property value. So that's kind of the case in a nutshell.
And just to confirm, you have just shy of 5 acres, a little over. I mean,
Yeah, it's 5 acres. The actual building plot is about 1.75 acres. And then you've got a 900-foot, 20-foot driveway with 10 feet down each side of it, which takes up a lot of the plot. And then the rest of it kind of falls off the hill down towards Brookmead and towards the village facility.
Anybody else have any questions?
No.
Okay, so the next step in the process is for us to do some deliberations. We will get back to the town and they will send you a letter back in early July.
All right, great.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I have Ruby Friedman in the waiting room.
Yeah, that's correct.
That's the next one.
Yep.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm good. We don't have much info.
Right.
You don't have any info, really.
Go ahead.
Yep.
No audio. We have a giraffe.
They're silent, you know. They don't make noise.
That was a shock to see.
There he is.
Hello?
He can't hear us.
Can? No?
No, he didn't join audio.
Can you hear us, sir? I don't like it. Mom,
That's cool.
Oh, dude, stop talking.
That's a good notice up there.
Yeah, that's great. Finally get the hang of this.
Yeah. We'll have it down pat by tomorrow.
Hey, did you do that?
Then it's all over.
Fred must have done it.
I did it.
Fred, you're a good man.
Ed.
That's okay. There's been other people. Hold on a minute. I'll put you on speaker to the grievance board. You're welcome. I believe you're on.
Hello, hello.
Hi, we got you.
Hi, guys. How's everybody?
Everybody's great. So to get started, I'm going to read a oath for you to approve, and then we'll go through your grievance. We'll have about 10 minutes to do this. At the 8-minute mark, if we're still discussing it, I'll give you a 2-minute warning.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you solemnly affirm that the information you're about to give will be given accurately and truthfully to the best of your ability to do so?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get started. Walk us through your grievance.
Well, basically, what I see here is that the assessment has doubled. It went from an assessed value of a little over $1 million to an assessed value of a little over $2 million. And my first question is what the basis is for that. I paid, I think, $1.4 million for the property. And I don't understand how they can come to a $2 million value or assessed value.
Oh, Lisa, you're there.
Yes, the process today is that we're here to listen to you, give your rationale for why you believe that the assessment was inaccurate, and what you believe the assessed value ought to be. And then when we deliberate, we'll talk about those issues. If there's more information we need from the assessor, we'll get it, but this isn't intended as a dialogue.
I apologize. I
No,
understand.
that's fine. That's fine.
This once before, but so basically, my grievance is that I feel the property is worth $1.4 million. I don't agree with the assessment, and I think it's outrageous. And my reasoning for that is because I paid $1.4 million for the property. There's been
When was that, Mr. Friedman?
building up next door. And that's it. It's that simple. I just don't feel that an increase, a 100% increase in the assessment is warranted.
So is it your view that the assessed value of the property ought to be the price that you paid for the property?
Correct. And I think I overpaid for the property.
What year was that, Mr. Friedman?
I'm sorry? Because the previous assessed value was $1 million.
2011 is when he purchased the property.
You purchased it in 2011
That's correct.
for 1.450.
Correct.
Okay.
And do you have can you help us understand why you think that there hasn't been any appreciation in the value of the property since then?
Well, again, Lisa, as I stated, I feel I knew what the assessed value was at the time that I purchased the property, and I felt I overpaid for it. And I got into a bit of a bidding war to buy the property when I bought it back in 2011. So I know I overpaid for the property. So I do feel certainly that there is a certain amount of appreciation. And again, if the property was valued at a little bit over $1 million when I purchased it, then I certainly feel that there is some appreciation. I just don't think that's 100%. So I would be, I'd be willing to accept a $1.4 million assessed value, but I think based on the information and what's, there's very little like it that's sold in the village recently, so it's kind of hard to get a comp or any type of comps to compare it to, which I did do some research on. But that's my basis. I certainly feel that the property has appreciated in value over the last 10 years. I just don't feel it's appreciated from $1 million to $2 million.
And this is a commercial property for you, right? And this isn't, you don't live on this property. Is that correct? Okay. Can you share any information with us about the income or the property?
Well, that's a tough thing to do right now because I have several tenants, of course, not paying any rent. Because I have 1, 2, 3 restaurants that are part of the tenancy right now. That 2 of the 3 are not paying, and one of them is paying on a reduced basis. So I don't know if you want to look at the rents. If you want me to send you something or provide the grievance board with some type of rent roll, I'm happy to do that. So, but I don't know if you want that to reflect the current rents that are being paid, or.
Well, I guess, in an effort to try to figure out what the appropriate way of valuing the property would be, something somewhat more objective. If you believe that would be an accurate way of assessing the property's value. If you don't believe that, we're not going to ask you to provide us with information that you're not, prepared to stand behind.
In addition to the
give you a current rent roll and send that over to you guys. So you don't have that accessible to me right in front of me now because I'm at home, not at work. But I'm happy to do that on Monday. First thing.
Okay, well, we're going to start deliberating on Monday morning. So the sooner we can, the better.
Could you just, in addition to the 3 restaurants, what other rental units are there without going into the rents?
I also have a tenant that's not paying. There's 1, 2, Donna. There's 1, 2, 3 apartments
And one of those three is also not paying rent currently. So
And how large are those apartments?
there's 3 residential units there.
And how large are they? How many bedrooms?
2 are 2-bedroom and 1 is a 1-bedroom.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Donna. So I can get that information to you guys. I know you're going to deliberate on Monday, which doesn't give me, I can have it to you first thing Monday morning if that would suffice.
Yeah, I think that if you can get that to us first thing Monday morning, we'll probably be able to take that into consideration in our deliberations.
Okay, sounds great, guys.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
No. So the next step is that we will do those deliberations and the town will send out a letter in early July with the decisions.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Everybody stay safe.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We've got 2 marks, 2 Markses, two grievances by Marks. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I see.
And do you have Marks
No,
there?
there's no one in the waiting room unless Donna has them.
I just hung up the phone, so she might have been trying to call me, but because I had him on the phone.
Yeah.
Do you want to try her?
Yep, I was looking up her number.
876-4152 is what I see.
Hi, is Miss Marks there? Okay. Oh, no. She put down 546-3387. Did you make an appointment for Virginia Marks with the grievance board? Okay. You must have mistyped. Okay, sorry for bothering you, sir. Okay, bye now.
Wrong number.
Lisa, what's the number you had?
845-876-4152.
I'm just going to get a visual on this.
Hi, Miss Marks. This is Donna with the Town of Rhinebeck Assessors. You have a Zoom meeting that was supposed to start for your assessment. Did you want to speak to them or? Fred, do you have anybody in the waiting room?
No.
No.
Well,
A
there's
break after this.
talk to the grievance board. Do you want to talk to them or no? I don't know what he was planning, what your attorney was planning to do. I just know that you had an appointment for your 2 properties with the grievance board and nobody has attended. So we're calling you in case you had a problem getting on Zoom. Okay. All right, have a good day. Everything that you provided, the grievance board has received. Okay, have a good day. You're welcome. Bye. Guess we're on break early. She doesn't want to talk to you. Her attorney's supposed to be handling it.
Okay, thank you.
You guys heard the whole conversation.
Yes.
We did. It is on live stream.
Okay, thank
All
you,
right.
Don.
No problem. See you after dinner.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Ah.